Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. The show is brought to you today and every day by our friends at Big Willie's, Utah Sports Bar in Salt Lake City, 1717 South Main. A perfect place for you to head out and watch the first Utah Mammoth game of the season. I guess it's the first Utah Mammoth game ever in terms of official NHL games that are not preseason contests because, of course, last year they were the Utah Hockey Club. Mammoth in action tonight, but they're on the road. You're not going to Denver. You're not going to go to an Avs game. So go to Big Willie's at 1717 South Main and watch. Tell them OC sent you. They'll hook you up with drink specials, food specials, and you can take a picture out in front of the Utah Mammoth mural on, what's that, the west side? I think it's the west side of the building. Speaking of west side, we're on the southwest corner of the parking lot set up at Provo Town Center Mall. RV Super Sale, the used RV closeout by Paris RV happening right now. You want to extend your camping season. You want to make it possible to get out with the family even when the chill is biting the air in the mornings and late at night. You want to head out and be in these beautiful mountains where the leaves are turning orange and gold and red and purple. Well, you're probably not going to want to do that in a little tent, but you could do it in a tent trailer. You could do it in a huge RV. You could do it in one of these toy haulers. They have everything down here at the Paris RV, used RV Super Sale, and we're in the southwest corner of the parking lot. We are adjacent, right next to the Target here at Provo Town Center. If I look over my right shoulder, I see a Y on the mountain. That's not ideal on the home of the Utes, but guess what? It's a good spot to orient yourself as you're coming down here to check out all of the great deals they've got going on at the Paris RV Used RV Super Sale that runs now, well, through Saturday night. They'll go till dusk. So come on down, walk through these incredible toy haulers, trailers, tent trailers, etc., and they'll hook you up with some deals. We'll be chit-chatting with the salespeople and the management down here making this event possible. Come down, hang out with us. I might make you do, I don't know, some push-ups or backflips, and we'll give you some James Peterson bonus points type prizes. It'll be a fun day.
Let's go. Bonus points being given out today? Yeah, everyone's showing up.
Let's go. That's all people want. It's all our listeners really want.
It's all they really want. OC, how about this? How about if you're Utah fans and you're like, I don't want to go to Provo to look at RVs because it's in Provo. How about go decked out in all your Utes gear and just flex? Just flex the power of the Utah fan base today in Provo. And, yeah, check out some great RVs that are on sale, the Paris RV Superstore sale. And
get a little pre-rivalry week trash talk
started.
Yeah,
just make a lot of people in Provo uncomfortable with all your Utes red. How about that?
I like it.
Take a picture, send it to us, 877-353-0700. Put it out, tag us on Twitter at ESPN 700, and show us how you're flexing your Utes gear in Provo today at the at Provo Town Center Mall for Paris RV.
And by the way, the weather is absolutely ideal right now, so don't wait. Right, we know the forecast is going to start getting a little chillier. Maybe there'll be some precipitation, things like that. Right now, the weather down here is absolutely ideal. We've got our little tent up, but intermittently the beautiful puffy clouds, what are they, cumulonimbus, they'll trace across the front of the sun, and you'll be like, oh, it's getting a little bit chillier. And then, boom, they're gone, and now the sunshine comes back down, like a perfect 73 degrees in the sun. Come on, just swing on down, say hello, and check out all the deals on the used RVs. They've got hundreds in stock, and if there's something that you have like a specific need for, but they don't have right here on the lot, first of all, they probably have on one of their many lots across the state. If even then the search comes up fruitless, watch. They will find it for you. That's what Paris RV does. They make sure that every time you come with a specific need, they meet that need. And also, if you don't know exactly what you want, this is the educated staff that can kind of tell you, hey, I got a family of 4. I've got a couple of dirt bikes. I've got a big old diesel truck that I can haul things with. What's the best fit for me? They know exactly how to cater the selection to what you and your family need. So now's the time to come on down. Southwest corner of the parking lot at Provo Town Center Mall. All right. We march closer towards Utah, Arizona State, happening this weekend at Rice-Eccles Stadium, the night game. We've talked a lot about how the weather could affect that game and how, the play calls can change a little bit, how the athleticism of certain players or certain squads, certain units on a squad can be affected by sloppy field conditions. First of all, the turf at Rice-Eccles is pretty reliable, kind of no matter what the weather is. I mean, we haven't had violent snow games recently, but unless it's prohibitively wet, I think that this is going to kind of end up being a wash, right? If anything, it benefits the Utes because as much as we have desperately asked for more downfield passing threats, the bulk of the Utah passing game and the passing production and Devin Dampier's 11 touchdowns have come from kind of these short, intermediate, efficient routes that are less affected by inclement weather than, the slower developing, longer pass sort of situations. So we'll keep an eye on the forecast. We'll play amateur meteorologist for the rest of today and tomorrow. But at the end of the day, if weather ends up being a factor in this game, I don't think it's a factor in a way that necessarily hurts Utah. If it's going to change the game at all, it's more likely that it hurts Arizona State. And by the way, I don't think you can rely on it hurting Arizona State significantly because Kenny Dillingham, did you see the drills Kenny Dillingham was running with Sam Levitt, with his starting quarterback? This was fantastic. You could find it on social media. You can find it on YouTube. Go, TikTok, Twitter, whatever.
Does he have a mobile shower over his head every time he touches the ball?
What he does, they've somehow figured out the cloud that follows Eeyore around in the Winnie the Pooh franchises.
Yeah.
And it just rains specifically only on Sam Levitt. No, what they were doing, he was doing dropbacks, and Dillingham, so Sam is taking simulated snaps from like a GA is handing him a ball, so that's as simulated as the snaps were. And he's just unloading the ball, right? Just grab it, step, throw. Grab it, step, throw. But on every step and throw, none other than the head coach, Kenny Dillingham, with that mischievous, boyish face of his, is standing behind him, and he's got, the water bottles they have on the sideline, the Gatorade water bottles, like the squirt bottle. He's standing behind his starting quarterback, and every time Sam grabs a ball and sets, right, he's got the double grip, and then he's cocking it back, elbow goes up to throw. Kenny Dillingham is taking that squirt bottle and just spraying his hands and the ball. just a direct stream of water targeted at the grip specifically of his starting quarterback, trying to make the ball as slick as possible.
So Kyle Whittingham is saying, we play with a wet ball when we know there's a chance of inclement weather, lots of rain.
Yeah.
In practice. So Kenny Dillingham's like hearing that and be like, hold my beer. I'm going to actually spray the ball as it's in his hands.
Kenny Dillingham's like, well, a wet ball, not enough. I need not only a wet ball, but I need a targeted stream of water. Like, the next thing we're going to see.
Just in case Lander Barton has a hose out there.
The next thing we're going to see is him out there with a hose, with a garden hose. They have those, like.
Or a super soaker.
It's one of the things that it's a real simple pleasure of being an old dad with the home when you go to whatever, Costco, you go to Home Depot, you go to Lowe's, you go to Target, and you see that garden center sale happening, and they have the nozzle that attaches to the end of the hose, the one that has
makes it a sprinkler.
You got like 16 different settings on this little nozzle. It's got the cool gun trigger.
Oh yeah, no, I know you're talking. You're not talking about the head that you can put on it that makes it sprinkle.
No.
You're talking about
I'm talking about
I know what you mean.
You can do the mist. You can do the jet. You can do the shower spray, right? It's like it's one of the weird like first world pleasures of having a lawn that you got to take care of. You go
Fantastic.
and you're not like, first of all, if you're paying full price for one of those things, relax, okay? Because you can always get them on closeout this time of year, or as the first snow starts to fall, when the garden center's turning things over, they're like, got to make room for the Christmas decorations. That's when you go to you get the bargain bin nozzle. That's what we're going to see Kenny Dillingham have at practice next. He's going to be out there full jet setting. All right.
No, he's gonna mix it up. He's gonna keep Sam on his toes. You never
like,
know.
Oh, shower, pulse, pulse, and then every once in a while, just the very light mist, just a little psst, that you can. You don't even know where the water really came from.
You don't know how
going.
hard the rain's gonna come down.
Yeah.
So you got to train for all of it.
It might be misting down gently. You never know. Yeah, that's what we're going to see from Kenny Dillingham. They're doing their best to get prepared at Arizona State as well. They're just not as familiar with precipitation and moisture as we are. That's another thing I should state. It's going to be a night game, right? If the weather decides to take the dark turn, Utah fans and, more importantly, Utah players are going to be a lot more accustomed to it than those kids from Tempe, Arizona, right? They're going to be fine. It's not going to be the ultimate game-changing thing, but they're not going to enjoy the chill or the wet as much as Utah football players will.
You heard Smith Snowden say that to the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley, on the coach's show, because Bill was like, "What?" He's asking him the question, like, if it's bad weather, like they say it might be, what's your thoughts in that? Is it what concerns you have? He's like, I'm Utah born and bred, man. Like I know this time of year it's gonna get colder and colder, and we're gonna get this kind of weather. I'm good. So that not everyone is like Smith Snowden on this team, to be fair, but they have got enough of those guys to be like, yeah, we'll be fine.
And by the way, your quarterback obviously is the most important. Is your quarterback well adjusted to bad weather? Devin Dampier obviously played his high school ball down in Arizona, but the Dampier family is rooted in the northern Midwest, in Minnesota. All right?
So he's good too.
Like, in fact, the rain is probably not going to be enough for him. He will really thrive when there's horrible blizzard conditions, if that happens, all right? Because that's a Minnesota bad weather situation. In any case, we march closer to what should be a fascinating matchup. And I said at the beginning of the week, I'm going to keep driving the point home. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of football left to play, but the way your season shakes out, the way your schedule shakes out for Utah, the margin for error is just gone. It's just not there anymore. And even if you had beat Texas Tech, the margin for error is still very, very slim in this Big 12 conference based on what we know right now. Because, yes, Kansas State has kind of dropped out of the conference championship conversation. And Baylor, who was somewhat of a popular preseason pick, is on, I think, a little bit more shaky ground than we anticipated. But Arizona and Cincinnati and Houston and all these unexpected potential contenders have entered the chat, so to speak. So everybody is going to be a problem for Utah football on the schedule moving forward. What we thought we knew and what we had penciled in as, oh, that's a win, oh, that's something you probably don't have to worry too much about, you can't be as confident as you were, right? Like, the Cincinnati game on November 1st is now a massive game. That Baylor matchup is still really big. Kansas State, while they're not as good as we thought they were going to be, is still good enough to cause you problems. And then, of course, you finish Thanksgiving week games are always weird, and you finish against a Kansas team that is as bipolar as Utah weather is. If Kansas ends up being, like, in the hunt at that point, if Kansas ends up being a relevant team at that point and Jalen Daniels is healthy, now that's a monster game to finish your season with who knows what on the line. So I say all that to remind everyone that it starts against Arizona State this weekend. You either get it done against Arizona State and you keep it all to play for, and then the BYU game is absolutely monstrous next week, or if you stub your toe here, now you're facing this uphill climb and you're kind of doing the, throw salt over your shoulder and rub the lucky rabbit's foot and Ouija board your way into a hopeful tiebreaker like you did in your second Pac-12 championship. That's why when I talk about Utah's best football years, that second Pac-12 championship was fun and was awesome, and it was great to smash USC's hopes in particular. But really the first Pac-12 championship was the more impressive one, was the better one, was I think the more meaningful one in terms of Utah showing its merit as a program, because you didn't have to lean on and rely on 3 different tie-breaking scenarios to go your way in the final week of the season. You want to avoid that in this Big 12 year because, man, it is messy already, and we're only heading into Utah's 6th football game. In other news tonight, the Utah Mammoth are in action, as I alluded to. I told you that Big Willie's is the right place to go and watch a game like that one. The Vegas projections for what this team could be are really interesting. The best number, the most kind of like agreed upon number I found was 93.5 on the over-under for your team point total this year. Now, that puts you in the playoff hunt and in the playoff picture. I think I'm more optimistic about what this team can do this year or will do this year than a lot of people are. And so I put out, we did this with Utah football a lot heading into the season. I wanted to at least take a day to do it here on the Sean O'Connell Show. The Utah Mammoth over-unders for the season. All right, I'm going to put them out there here in this first segment. We'll continue the conversation for the entirety of the show. But, James, you want to play a couple of these numbers with me here?
Of course. I'm always up for it.
Clayton Keller was your leading goal scorer last year.
Uh-huh.
All right, he had 30 goals.
We have 90 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was also your point. He was also your points leader. We're going to get to that later on in this projection segment as well. Clayton Keller had 30 goals last year. His career high is actually 37 goals. That was, I think, 3 seasons ago. And Clayton Keller is a guy who's established himself now. He's going to be going into his second year as the big boy captain. He's a franchise player in a lot of ways for this Utah Mammoth squad, and he is the leader. So if you're going to make a playoff push, if you're going to progress in the rebuild, that requires team progression, and team progression is going to rely on individual progression from guys like Clayton Keller. So does Clayton Keller hit a career high 37.5 goals? It's a big jump from last year, but it's something he's showed us he is capable of flirting with at the very least. And I think if you're going to be the team that I hope the Mammoth will be, Clayton Keller is going to have a monstrous year. Also, 90 points is kind of like that. It's sort of that benchmark, right? Can you get over 100? Well, 37.5 goals. You hit 38, you're getting a lot closer to that. This one's a lofty one. Over under, Clayton Keller, 37.5 goals on the season.
I'm going to go under, but I think he gets to like 34 or 35. I think under, but slightly under, because I still think he gets over 30. Now, of course, if he's, knock on wood, this doesn't happen. But if he's out, if he's injured for an extended period of time, that's, of course, he's probably not going to get there to that at least over 30 goals that I'm saying. He will, but so barring injury, I think he gets to over 30 goals, but under that 37.5 and 90. I would say we're going to do points a little bit later, but I would say he bests last year too, over 90 points. But okay. I don't know if that's over or under yet, so we'll talk about that later.
Well, yeah, I phrased that question a little bit differently, so you can give me your over or under 90. That's fine. This one, I know that other people might not be as fascinated by this as I am, but Mikhail Sergachev, who is he is like the straw that stirs the defensive drink for the Utah Mammoth, right? He's the veteran guy. He's got the cup experience, 2-time Stanley Cup winner. He's a dude that is instrumental in everything you're doing defensively. He's constantly on the ice, penalty kill, power play, etc. And he likes it that way. But I think there was an overuse problem a little bit last year. Utah ended up getting kind of banged up defensively, right? They addressed in the draft and in the offseason, they addressed the need to add some more size, add some more physicality on the blue line to give Mikhail Sergachev some help. Now, the over-under I set was the average time on ice. He had 25-plus minutes on the ice on average in the games he played last year. He played 77 games for this Utah Mammoth team, for this Utah Hockey Club, it was called back then, of course. And he averaged 25 minutes. Now, he was, I think, last year 11th in absolute minutes played amongst all skaters. They do it differently for goaltenders for obvious reasons. He was, I think, 11th in overall minutes played, but he was actually 4th in average time on ice. He was, of the good players, of the excellent players in the league, it was Cole Makar, who you're going to see against the Mammoth tonight, skating for the Avs, and basically Sergachev as like the all-star contender type players that are averaging that much time, or that are averaging that much time for good teams. He was number 4 in average time on ice in the league. That is a significant amount of usage for a guy who's not yet old, James, but he's also not getting any younger. And part of the reason that you added depth and that you added, depth is the right way to put it, that you brought in more bodies to help, I think, alleviate some of that pressure, is because you can't rely on it forever, in my opinion, at least. So 25 minutes is, by the way, it's kind of outrageous. It's like a dumb number. If you go look at Sergachev's use over the course of his NHL career, he has hit the over on the number I set. I set 22.5. He has hit the over just barely 2 of the last 3 seasons, and then last year, of course, he smashed it at 25 minutes and 7 seconds average time on ice. But every other year of his career, he's been under this.
So one of those years was with Tampa when he wasn't the lead defenseman guy every year with Tampa like he was with the Mammoth, right? But he
Correct.
Still went over that one year, and then last year, like, destroyed
He went over it 2 years with Tampa.
Okay.
And then last year, just barely, though. It was like 22:37, 22:40, and now 25 minutes. So do you get more or less from Mikhail Sergachev than 22.5 minutes per game?
I'm going to say more, because even though they've added depth, he's still the most important guy on most important defenseman on the team. Bear showed last year how much he loves what he's showing out there on the ice. That's why he smashed the over last year and had a career high by a lot in average time on ice. So I'm gonna say over, but hopefully less than. What'd you say? He had 25 last year. 25
minutes, 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Fourth most average in the NHL last year.
Hopefully that's closer to 23. If the depth that they added performs the way that they hope they will, it's closer to like 23, because you don't want to burn your best defenseman out, right? But yeah, I still think he's important enough that he's going to play more than 22.5 minutes a game.
Zach Werenski from Columbus, Cale Makar from Colorado, Moritz Seider from Detroit, and then Mikhail Sergachev. Those are the guys that were averaging 25 or more minutes a game in the NHL. Only 4 of them.
Yeah, it's for those of us that are just now really starting to follow hockey for the first time, and I'm in that boat. Like, that does not sound like a lot, especially hockey's a 60-minute game, right? The 25 minutes doesn't sound like a huge workload, because we're used to 48-minute NBA games, for example. I am 48-minute NBA games, and the guys who lead the league in minutes are pushing 40-something minutes a game, 38 to 44 minutes a game, right? So 25 doesn't sound like a huge number, and then you look at what you just mentioned. You look at where it ranks in the league, and you're like, oh, Hockey players don't play 25 minutes very often.
Sergachev played 25. Next on the Utah roster was John Marino. The defensemen are typically out there more than centers, forwards, wings, etc. Sergachev, 25 minutes a game. John Marino, 21 minutes a game. Dursey and Ian Cole at 20 minutes a game. Everybody else, Keller, Cooley, Kesselring, Gunther, all these guys less than 19 minutes a game. And we're talking like Logan Cooley is a 17 minutes a game type guy. So Mikhail Sergachev is playing 8 and 9 minutes more per game than all the other most important players on your team. That is significant. And I think it's something that from a long-term perspective, they've got to get under control. Even though he loves it, but just from a longevity of his contributions to this team, and if you're going to make any kind of a playoff run, you gotta rein that in my opinion. I've got a couple more of these questions that I want to ask before we are done for the day, but I want to try to stay on clock here. We got a good show lined up for you. Gordy Chiesa is going to join us next. We've got Dishing with Dev, the interview with Devin Dampier. That happens every Thursday right here at noon. We've got that coming today ahead of the Arizona State game. Josh Newman's going to swing by immediately after that. Eric Weddle at 1 o'clock. A jam-packed show as we are down here at the Used RV Super Sale, Provo Town Center Mall, southwest corner of the parking lot, immediately next to the Target. Hundreds of trailers, tent trailers, RVs, toy haulers, anything you could need for outdoor recreation. Paris RV's hooking you up. Come down and see us today, tomorrow, Saturday, 10 a.m. to dusk. Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Our resident NBA guru, Gordy Chiesa, joins us here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Jazz in action last night, Mammoth in action tonight. Let's go, baby. Gordy Chiesa, welcome to the show. How are you?
Sean, I'm doing fine, and so was the Jazz last night. Even though they lost that game to the Rockets 140 to 127, there's a lot of good moments during that game.
I think it's time to build the Ace Bailey statue now. The guy, when you talk about a turnaround from perception with that whole draft process, and there was this rumor and innuendo and all these reports out there that Ace Bailey doesn't want to go here, he doesn't want to go there, he'd rather be anywhere than Salt Lake City, and then he shows up. He's been, I think, exactly how a professional should be in every interview. What we saw last night, and your eye is a lot more seasoned than mine, though. What we saw last night is a guy whose body and skills, while still early in the process, look like they're going to translate to something pretty special at the NBA level.
Yeah, very much. Last night he goes 11 for 16, 2 for 5 from threes, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block shot in 31 minutes of work. And the most important thing about it was that he was efficient. He read screens perfectly. He was able to free up himself, and he moved without the ball. And defensively, he competed. Sean, during the game last night, of his 11 field goals out of 16, 11 field goals he made, he didn't take more than 2 dribbles on any of those shots. So it was a perfect catch and shoot, or catch 1 dribble or 2 into a mid-range jump shot. And so, usually speaking, most players, especially young guys, over dribble. He was the opposite. He was efficient. Also, add to that, Keontae George was tremendous with a 9 assists, mostly a lot of them to Ace Bailey, and that Yusuf Nurkic was a designated screener. So Ace Bailey really had it all rolling last night with the help of his sidekicks, Keontae George, and also with Yusuf Nurkic.
So, look, exciting to see the rookie, the highly touted draft pick, come out and show that, there's a reason why he was thought of so highly in the draft. Like you said, it's not a win. I mean, when you get good play that doesn't result in wins, I think that's something we're going to have to get used to this year. That's kind of a best-case scenario in a lot of ways for this Utah Jazz team, and we will have some version of this conversation dozens and dozens of times over the course of this season. But, that young core, that group of guys, how do you make sure that when they go back in the locker room after a loss, you keep them on the right path and you say, look, it's only one game. You did some nice things. Let's focus on that rather than the fact that we came out on the wrong end.
Yeah, very much. So you're going to focus on the good things they did, and then on the splice film, as far in the locker room, in today's practice, I'm assuming it would be in San Antonio. It's Jazz play tomorrow night in the Alamo City. They're going to show that called the good, bad, and the ugly. The good parts about what they did, how they scored the ball, and how they really shot efficiently, and also how they passed the ball. Sean, last night in that game, they had 36 assists out of 50 made baskets. That's hard to do. And so there's a lot of good things. The ugly things was that they allowed 19 offensive rebounds. So that tells us that they didn't contain the ball in dribble penetration. The help defense had to commit, and that gave a free run to the offensive glass for everyone on the Rockets. So they've got to do a better job of ball containment and then get back in play and put a body on somebody. Who am I blocking out? The nearest guy right next to you. And that's how the Jazz have to do that as far as learning. Taylor Hendricks really was his first – he only played 3 games last year with a fractured right fibula and dislocated ankle. He did a lot of good things. He had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. And most of all is that he shot 4 for 8 from threes. And you get the feeling about it that he was out there competing, and that was really encouraging.
Gordy Chiesa, my guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking about the Utah Jazz opening things up, strong performances from some young players who they hope are going to be a part of the plans for the immediate and extended future of this franchise. And again, the Lowry Markkanen rumors started really stirring up again yesterday. They continued today. multiple sources now reporting, I think Chris Mannix might have been the first one that was really heavy on it, that the Utah Jazz are very open to trade conversations regarding Lauri Markkanen. It seemed as though maybe that had kind of been settled, but are we now opening this conversation again, Gordy?
Yes, it'll be open again. And usually speaking, they're going to try to do that 2 times. It would be before the season starts, so the next 10 days or so, or before the trading deadline. He's a good player. Now, the Jazz love him, but also other teams want him also on their team. So the Jazz, I'm sure they're probably going to wait to see how it all plays out between now and the trading deadline, which is in the first Thursday of February, and to see where the team is as far as win-loss record, who's playing well, who's struggling, and what is the value out there for Lauri Markkanen, who's a very good player. Let's not forget, he's a catch-and-shoot guy that can rebound, and he can stretch the floor as a big guy. His best position is really a stretch 4, because he can create mismatches for players to try to guard him. So the Jazz, he has value around the league. Everyone likes him.
What kind of value would the Jazz need to get back in order to part ways with someone who they like so much, who likes Utah, who is the exact kind of player you want being the at least temporary face of your franchise? It feels like you'd have to kind of overpay, but you tell me.
Yeah, they would get, I was sure, more draft assets as far as future first-round picks. He's worth definitely really a solid young player again, someone else, but also I'm assuming like 2 first-round future picks, like a 2029, 30, 31, 32. As they go forward right now. So he adds value. And again, it's based on other teams. There's a major injury to really an elite playoff team. That's a big guy, range shooter. They're staring right at Lauri Markkanen because his value is really high. So someone like, say, the T-Wolves or the Grizzlies or the let's go, I'm trying to think, Lakers, they're staring right at him.
Looking around the rest of the league, you and I have a particular fondness for the alien who plays in San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama, who, of course, he had the circulatory problems, the blood clot questions last year. As he gets back into action, what are we looking for from Victor Wembanyama?
Generational talent, and Sean, he grew an inch or so. So now he's listed at 7'4". And so, 7'4" with that skill set. So now he's in the company as far as being one of the tallest players in the NBA history, with people like Yao Ming, former BYU great Sean Bradley, Manute Bol, George Marison, and Chuck Nevitt. And so he's right there. But however, he has unbelievable skills like Yao Ming did. But this guy can play inside and outside. He's generational talent. Now, last year he missed 36 games with a right shoulder blood clot, and they did the right thing as far as holding him out, because that is absolutely serious. And he played in Miami, where he had a hard-fought win by the Spurs on the road, and a 112-107 victory. 22 minutes, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and unfortunately 5 turnovers, which tells you that he's a little bit shaky as far as with the ball. Tremendous. So with that said, the Jazz play them on Friday night. It's going to be a good matchup with Wembanyama going against the Jazz bigs. Last night didn't play Walker Kessler, and Jusuf Nurkic played last night. So we'll see if those guys are going against Wembanyama. It should be exciting for the Jazz players. We love Wembanyama because that guy plays so hard, and that the whole Spurs team, they're trying to capture what the Thunder did, Sean, building through the draft. And now can he do it? And the Jazz are trying to replicate that also, of getting their key players future-wise through the draft. And that's the Thunder, world champion, defending. That's the Spurs right now trying to do it, and it's Jazz and FutureCast.
Eric Spoelstra, reports are out that he's going to be the next Team USA men's basketball head coach heading into the World Cup in 2027 and the LA Olympics. Eric Spoelstra, according to reports, will be taking over for Steve Kerr. What do you think of that decision by USA Basketball?
Well, he's lead assistant in Paris, so the answer is it's a well thought out by Grant Hill, who runs USA Basketball now. Eric Spoelstra is a tremendous coach that understands what it takes. This is his 18th year as the head coach of the Miami Heat. He had 6 NBA Finals, 2 titles in 2013 and 14. Last year in Paris, he was right next to Steve Kerr in the Olympics. He's the right guy for the job. You have to understand the NBA player mentality, but also the international rules. So going through it in Paris, he sees all the different things about what the Olympics are all about, and is magnified, Sean, being in the City of Angels in 2028, meaning L.A., as far as being the head coach of the team. They won 5 straight gold medals, our USA team, 2012 in London, 2016 in Rio de Janeiro, 2020 in Tokyo, which really actually was 2021 because of the pandemic, 24 in Paris, and 2028 now will be Eric Spoelstra's turn. Remember, Jerry Sloan, former Jazz great head coach, was an assistant with the Dream Team back in 1996, as far as in Atlanta, when he was assistant to Lenny Wilkins, that won the gold medal also.
Is it now a tougher job than it ever was to be the head coach of men's basketball in the United States, Team USA? Because, like, respect to those, early 90s teams, to that squad that Jerry Sloan won a gold medal with, but, like, the competition back then was not as robust as it is now. France is a real contender. Obviously, there's some of those Eastern European nations are really putting some good squads together. Argentina it stays very serious about basketball. Is it harder to win a gold medal, even though you're going to be the favorite? Canada's got a bunch of really great players. Is it harder now to be the Team USA basketball coach than ever before?
Absolutely. Dramatically harder, because the other guys are good, because the other countries caught up to USA basketball. So the original Dream Team back in 1992 that helped grow the love of basketball around the whole the 7 continents. However, with that said, we created a good rivalry with the other countries, and they're going to be poised to try to knock off the mantle of the USA. So it's tremendously much harder. That's why you have to be serious about it. You've got to train. You have to pick the right team, and the most important thing is you need perimeter shooting. Remember, an Olympic game is only 40 minutes, and you're allowed to play zone the whole time and knock the ball off the rim as far as dribble penetration, as far as layups. So you need versatile players, and by having Eric Spoelstra there back in Paris, they see it firsthand. So the question is, like Wembanyama, France is going to be a dominant thing, and also with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as far as doing that, who can you get those American players to play against those guys as a unit and play under the influence of what? 3-point shooting, zone defense, and also making plays out of nothing.
Gordy, what's the list today?
Well, right on point about Keontae George last night. We had 9 assists, and also he had no turnovers, which is really tremendous. This is a Utah Jazz list. Utah Jazz franchise leaders in total assists in a Jazz uniform. So the top 10 Jazz players with assists. What's an assist? First, quickly. A pass from one player to a teammate that directly leads into a floormate's made basket. Yes, Sean and James Peterson, it's possible to take one dribble that leads into a direct basket. For example, a fast break layup, a guy takes you throw a bullet pass, he takes one dribble into a layup. That could be assist, and also a dish off in the lane. Keontae penetrates, find Ace Billy on the baseline, lays it up with one bounce, lays it up. That's an assist. Here we go. Here's my list of the top 10 Jazz players of all time that are pass happy. Number 10, Adrian Dantley, 1,702. Number 9, Gordon Hayward, 1,762. Number 8, Pete Maravich, New Orleans Jazz, 1,895. Number 7, this guy was a tremendous all-around player, great shooter besides being passed, Jeff Hornacek, 1,895 in only 6.5 years. Number 6, the Jazz own Russian Comet, Andrei Karolinko, 1,009.19. Number 7, we call him Sean, the Aussie with a swag. He's also the Jazz greatest ever three-point shooter as far as made and as far as accuracy. He's a jumbo dime deliverer. Also, he's the best ever lefty passer in Jazz history. Yes, Joe Ingles with 2,213 career dimes. Number 4, Darren Williams, 4,003, vastly underrated. Number 3, nickname was the fastest of the fast. He played for the Jazz in the early decade, 80s. Ricky Green, 4,159. Number 2, the mailman, besides scoring unbelievable points, he also had 5,085 assists, and the number 1 player in Jazz history and also of NBA basketball with a brilliant 19-year career, the highest in NBA history. John Stockton had 15,806 assists for an average of 10.5 assists per game for his career. Thus, that's my list of the day. Presently, Keontae George on cue right now. Last night, Keontae, career-wise, has had 709 assists. So let's see if he climbs the ladder in the top 10 Jazz pass deliveries. Sean, I love people that are pass happy.
You would never like to watch me play basketball then, Gordy. No one wanted to pass the ball to me because I was a terrible shooter. So anytime I touched it, I'm going to the rack. You know what I mean? You only get like 3 chances.
Fouls, okay. Nothing wrong with that. You're creating fouls.
All right,
maybe
perfect.
Giving fouls.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing I was ever any good at in basketball is giving fouls, using my fouls. Gordy, you're the man. I always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Peace out.
Gordy Chiesa, our resident NBA guru. All right, we're down here at the Paris RV, used RV super sale. We're taking a quick break here. We will come right back, talk about some of the deals going on, and I have some more Utah Mammoth projections I want to run by you. Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Paris RV used RV super sale happening right now. Today, tomorrow, Saturday, 10 a.m. to dusk. They will be out here answering your questions, giving you great deals on a little bit of everything in the RV world. Ted, product specialist here at Paris RV. You drew the short straw. They made you come sit down with me, Ted. Hold on. We gotta make sure you're. See, that's amateur on my part. Go ahead again.
All right, yeah, we are here, and everybody got scared to come talk to you, so I got the short end of the straw.
I am an intimidating individual. I understand why everyone would want to avoid coming to talk to me, but let's talk about what's going on this weekend. Used RVs, and I took a little gander, a little stroll through the selection here. One of the things I love about doing this event, and this is, I mean, we've been doing it every year, twice a year it seems like, you've got something for every budget on the lot here. And I know this is not the entirety of the selection. If it's not here, you can find it for me.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And, you know, we've got them for every budget and pretty much every vehicle.
So you got, we were talking during the break, you've got these little, you know, I don't know the terminology, but the small little tent trailer ones that
Yep.
7 to 10 grand that you can tow with your little daily driver type car. You got these massive, this one right in front of me, this huge Raptor bad boy. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you got to have a real truck to tow that thing, I imagine. But
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've got, you know, the tent trailers here. We've got some teardrop trailers, anything. You know, if you've got a Subaru Outback, we got something just for you. And, yeah, if you've got a one-ton dually, we've got some big beasts for you. And if you don't want to, you know, use a truck, and we've got big diesel pushers. We've got everything, Class A's, B's, and C's, Super C's.
you got the pop-outs. When I was younger and doing the motorhome thing, none of them had the pop-outs, right? It's like what you saw on the
Right.
exterior, that's what you had. Now, you jump in one of these things, and it's like a, I don't know, a clown car. There's just way more space than you thought there was going to be.
Oh, for sure. They're definitely houses on wheels these days. Lots of comfort, you know, so on those rainy days when you're out camping, you've got, you know, plenty of space to hang out with the family and play some games and do some entertainment inside.
The beauty about it, right? We live in a place in Utah where so much access, so many possibilities of getting out into the wilderness, into the national parks, the state parks,
Yeah.
and things like that. And this time of year in particular, it's the time of year where if you're up in the Uintas last weekend, right, and you're with your tent and your horse, you're going, wow, man, this might not have been the best idea. Little blizzard rolls in. If you're in one of these trailers, it doesn't bother you one bit.
No, you're definitely staying warm and staying dry.
So what kind of deals can people expect if they come down, take advantage of the super sale? I mean, they're used RVs. How much below sticker? How much below like the fresh off the lot, brand new stuff? What kind of savings are we looking at a mega event like this?
You're going to get some really good year-end savings. So we're basically blowing everything out at or below our cost on these units. So you're really going to get a really good deal on any of these trailers sitting out here on my lot right now.
Here's what I want you to do. If you're listening and you're like, I'm going to go take a gander, I'm going to go take a look at the Paris RV used RV super sale happening at Provo Town Center, southwest corner of the parking lot, adjacent to the Target. When you show up and you're checking things out, here's what I want you to do. Say, give me Ted. Ted's the guy that I heard on the radio. I don't want to buy from anybody else. I want Ted to walk me through, all right? Come down here, ask for Ted, and make sure you come down between now, Friday, Saturday, dusk. That's when the whole event wraps up. Get down here before then.
Absolutely. And you got to remember, you know, we are in Utah. You are only 30 minutes away in an RV from creating some killer memories with your family.
Take advantage of the great deals. Right now, Paris RV used RV super sale happening at Provo Town Center Mall, southwest corner of the parking lot. Ted, thank you for sitting down with me.
Absolutely, man.
Dishing with Dev is next on the Sean O'Connell Show. QB1 getting ready for Arizona State. What's practice been like? Has he gotten healthy over the bye week? We'll talk about it all with number 4 in the program, number 1 in your hearts. Devin Dampier next on the Sean O'Connell Show. Utah's number 1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. It's that time again on the Sean O'Connell Show. We've had a little hiatus because of the bye week, and I had some travel calling fights. But now we're back with QB1 dishing with Devin Dampier here in our Broadway studios. Dev, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Good to be back.
Yeah, man. Good to be back for all of us. Good to be back in the swing of things with a week of preparation for Arizona State. Obviously, that looks a lot different for us preparing for a game than for you all. But take me back to West Virginia. We haven't spoken since that game, really. Take me back to West Virginia and the bounce back you all experienced after the Texas Tech loss and, getting your guys right and back in the win column and all that. Then you head into the bye week on a little bit of a positive note, just the sort of broad strokes of what that meant for you all.
Yeah, going into the game, our focus was, don't let a team beat you twice. We got to forget that loss and move on. So that was huge. Also had the opportunity to speak to my team, and the message I gave them was, we had a player-led meeting where we talked about becoming Big 12 champions. So if we want to still be about that, from here on out, we really got to be about it. So that was a big emphasis going into last week, and I think we handled the game well, and just going forward, that's the mindset.
So then you head into the bye week, and look, the only downside with that West Virginia game is there were some more bumps and bruises. And we'll talk about your health here in just a second, but head into the bye week, and it's cliche, but we talk about it all the time. How does a team win a bye week where there's no opponent standing in front of you? Got to have good practices. But in the case of, important players being a little bit hurt, you probably have to rest some. So how did the team handle the bye week? Yeah,
the team handled it great. The main part of bye weeks is to recover mentally and physically, both of those. So a lot of people are in the training room. They're using those hours to get back 100%. It's hard to be at 100% during the season. So to use the bye week as good as possible to, reach that point. I thought our team handled it well. Practices were well also, so all around good.
All right, I know this is a conversation that's broadcast to however many thousands of people want to listen to it, but between you and me, how healthy are you right now? How's your body feeling?
I'm good. Good.
Okay. Like you were one of those guys who used the bye week to get all the way back.
Yeah, for sure.
When you go against West Virginia, when you go against Texas Tech for that matter, and you're not necessarily 100%, knowing that it's a football season, there's a lot of people out there that are not 100%. You're going to do what you got to do. You're going to, push through pain and stuff like that to help play for your team. Your skill set in particular, the way that you play the position of quarterback with your elusiveness and the instinct and all that, how much did it feel like was taken away from you with, whatever issues you were having from your like, if fully healthy is 100%, where did you feel like you were at against Texas Tech and West Virginia?
Yeah, just not 100%. I think it just limits the way I'm able to scramble in the pocket and just decisions I just decided to make. Just things like that played into it, but I don't think that was one of the main reasons why we lost that game. A lot of other contributors to that game
for sure.
was the reason why we didn't come out with that W. So
it's interesting because we're on the conversation side of the sport, and your job is to perform and to actually play it, right? And you're new to Utah, but you're a veteran in the sport, and you've played through injury before and all that stuff. And now there's these rules, there's these new things, injury reports, and all this conversation about, well, why didn't Devin appear on an injury report and things like that. You're very good at blocking out the noise. There's trauma associated with injury reports in the University of Utah football. So did any of that buzz touch you? Did any of that buzz, did people talk to you about it? Like, oh, man, we didn't know how you were feeling. We didn't know anything about it. How were you insulated from that?
Yeah, I heard about it maybe that week after. I was just asked some questions by the media and stuff. But, yeah, I was never in question that I wasn't going to play.
Right.
And, that's what the report is, if you're in question to play or not, and I was never in question. So,
yeah,
that's how it went.
That's kind of the way we processed it. Like, if he's going to play, he's going to play. And what you do at practice is that's part of the reason why practices are closed now. There was a time where even during the season we could watch portions of practice and things like that. Obviously, this is part of the reason why things are closed. But I'm not here to talk about injury reports. Right? That was something that was
kind of, I won't say funny because people take it too seriously, but it was a quirk of being associated with Utah football and the past couple of years with the Cam Rising stuff. And then it felt like there was shrapnel, like you were going to catch a stray because of how those things were handled.
Yeah.
And then you got caught up in something like that.
Yeah. I hear it.
All right. Let's talk about getting ready for Arizona State. This is a team that last year surprised everybody in the conference and won the whole thing. And they've got excellent players. They've improved in the offseason. Like everyone else in the Big 12, they went into the transfer portal and tried to find things that will help them. I still think the best player we've seen at Arizona State in the last 15, 20 years is a guy who's playing for the Giants right now. They were not able to replace Cam Scatterboot, but that's the nature of college football. What are you seeing from this team on film? What are you seeing from Arizona State that's going to make this game interesting Saturday night?
Yeah, a team that wants to win, and a team that we're able to build that bond during the offseason. You could tell they play for each other, they play hard. Yeah, I mean that's the same mentality that we have going into these games. So to know that we're going against a very well matched up opponent, that's always fun to do.
We played the sound yesterday, and I know that you've already heard it and probably answered a couple questions about it. But Kenny Dillingham gave you a lot of respect when he was asked about the matchup with Utah, and he said, yeah, my brother-in-law was his coach. I should have recruited him harder. Like, I look at a situation like that, and I say, man, every kid, and you're an elite athlete now, so kid is the wrong but, like, when you're a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, you're in high school, you want the hometown teams to be recruiting you hard. Everyone wants your work to be acknowledged by whatever. For me, it was the University of Utah. And if you're a California kid, you want USC. Or an Arizona kid, you could tell me it's, I imagine, U of A and Arizona State. You want those coaches to be like, this kid's amazing, here's a scholarship offer. To hear after the fact, like, hey, we missed on him. How do you react to it? Like, what does it mean?
Yeah, for me, the past is in the past. I do a good job of moving on. That's just how life goes. But yeah, I mean, that's another respect from, someone that's, again, brought a team up to become Big 12 champions last year. So that's just a lot of respect coming from him. Yeah.
You're heading into the 6th game of the season against a really good opponent, and there's a stretch here now where we're going to start figuring out the pecking order in the Big 12 Conference. You're still within, the striking distance of a championship bid, a championship itself, but there's also 9 other teams in the conference right now who are there. So it's all going to get figured out, and you guys have to start figuring it out against a really, really good Arizona State team that can score some points. They're good at stopping the run. How do you think this game is going to play out on Saturday night? Do you feel like you're going to have to put up, 35, 40 in order to get it done? Is this going to be a low-scoring affair? Is it going to be wet and rain and cold a little bit factoring in potentially? How do you think it plays out?
Yeah, I mean, we're at home. I think we have that advantage, weather-wise and fan base-wise. So, I expect us to be at our best for sure. And, they're hungry to win this Big 12 also. So, I'm expecting their best as well. And, we're both 2 good college teams, so it's going to be fun.
How fast is the season flying for you? It feels like, this is the 6th game of the year. It feels like we're at the halfway point right now, and it feels like we just started. Does it feel that way for you?
Yeah, the season does feel like it is moving fast. Our coach was just like, we're almost halfway, literally halfway point. So to be there right now is a little crazy.
How would you grade yourself out? I mean, it's more interesting to do it exactly at the halfway point. We'll do that next week, I guess. But, you came in, the first time we talked, you had some stated goals. You wanted to take care of the football better than you did last year. That's been achieved, at least to this point. You wanted to be efficient with the passing game. You have the highest completion percentage in the conference, one of the highest in the country right now. So it feels like you're checking those boxes. How do you feel about your own performance when you're watching yourself on tape, when you're sitting down, how you're practicing, the stuff we don't get to see? How do you grade out Devin?
I would say I've seen a lot of improvement, especially from last year. Now there's new things that I need to work on. That's just how football continues to go. There's always room to grow. I feel like I've been at a pretty solid point. Just got to be better during the bigger games, you know what I mean?
This game is one of those games. the goal is always approach it the same, do things the way you always do them. In big games like this one, it's hard to do that. We talked about this before Texas Tech, and now it's slightly different. Night game, all that stuff, home game. So now that you've taken one crack at these big games at Rice-Eccles Stadium, will you adjust anything for this second opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, nothing too adjusting, just being more consistent. That's what it is. And, you know, happened that game, I felt like I wasn't at my most consistent point of the season. So just continue to be consistent and efficient offense. I mean, that's what makes us roll.
So in this this bye-week rest and then getting into practice here to prepare for Arizona State, you've got RD coming off his biggest performance of the year so far. Larry seems like he's getting a little bit more involved. Dallin Bentley and you appear to have developed a decent amount of chemistry. He's been one of the more productive tight ends in the conference. Is there any new wrinkle you think we're going to see post-bye week? Have you guys been plugging new things in? Is there maybe someone who's now healthy in a way that they weren't before that could add a different element to this offense?
Yeah, I couldn't pick exactly one person, but just, again, with last week being a bye week and, you know, a couple players just resting up a little bit more, yeah, I mean, other players got to have the opportunity to practice and go with the ones, go with the twos, and, you know, some of those guys, you know, performed pretty well last week. So if there's any way they can help our team, we normally try to get them on the field.
So we were talking heading into the bye week about, and this is a defensive thing, so it's not something you get to affect really at all, about, you know, finding the right balance with being physical and tackling in practice, and also making sure guys don't get hurt in practice. You don't want to waste those opportunities when you're on the practice field. And going into the bye week, coaches said, yeah, we're gonna tackle. We're gonna have to figure something out. Now, that's not ones versus ones at this point in the season, but Kyle Whittingham said, put the scout team out there and let people tackle them. Mm-hmm. Were you watching that? Like, did you see how that went? I'm very curious to see exactly, you know, at this point in the season where you're trying to protect the health of certain guys, but you also are like, hey, no more missed tackles. What did that look like in practice?
You know, we do practice on, like, two opposite sides of the field.
All right. So you guys are separated those
So
times.
I did not get to see it. But I can imagine it was probably physical and controlled, though, at the same time. Our coach staff does a good job of doing both. So
I was getting, like, flashbacks to my old walk-on scout team days, right? Because there was like, your role on a team when that's who you are, is to be that tackling dummy sometimes.
Yeah.
One of the worst, probably the worst practice ever. Guys were struggling with their cut blocks in space.
Oh, so you're getting cut all
So they
day.
were just like, all right, you guys, we're going to set up a cone 7 yards over here to the right. You run to that point as fast as you can, and running backs, wide receivers, everyone who was cutting, right? You all run and you cut these
right?
we're like, what? You want me to run full speed into a cut block? And the coach was like, yep, give him a good look.
Yeah, give him a
He's
good
like,
look.
No, I do not want to give that kind of good look.
Oh, shoot.
We should have brought James, next time have Deb bring in a random scout team guy so we can ask exactly how that went. Back to the stuff that actually matters here. With Dev and Damp here, by the way, we're dishing with Dev. Conversation with QB1 is brought to you by Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Experience the Culligan difference. America First Credit Union, Polylift, Concrete Lifting and Piering, ARUP, Blood Services, Give Local, Save Local. Did you watch a lot of football over the bye week? Were you able to sit down and see what the other Big 12 teams were doing?
I did get to see I got to see Iowa State. And then outside of Big 12, I watched a lot of other games too.
Sure.
It was a wild weekend.
It was a wild weekend.
Yeah,
and it was a
it
wild
really-
weekend in the conference, including that Iowa State game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I know that you all take it one game at a time, but if we learned anything during the Utah bye week and in the weeks leading up to that, it's like we still don't know. We're almost halfway through the season, and Texas Tech is clearly very good. But it seems like there's like 7 other teams that are good.
Yeah.
And even the teams that we probably wouldn't say are good or the record doesn't say they're that good, they're still capable of beating you. Is that what you expected from the Big 12 coming into the year?
Yeah. I think that was one of the main things, talked about during the preseason when I was doing all the media and all that, the Big 12 is probably one of the most balanced conferences, there is, where every week. Someone has that chance to actually win games and could beat you. So, I think that's a great conference to play in. The fact how level it is out, and yeah.
How well do you know these guys on Arizona State? Like, as an Arizona kid, how many of your old high school teammates, camp mates, opponents are playing for the Sun Devils right now?
I don't know many, if you want me to be completely honest.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think, at least like when I was in high school,
Sure.
that was 3 years ago, we just didn't really, Arizona just really didn't recruit Arizona kids as much. I think there's normally like, four of our top kids that had an offer at ASU, and then kind of just no one else that really got that offer during my years coming up. So I don't know if it's changed recently, but yeah,
Well,
that's just how it was when I was there.
That's actually really fascinating to me because we've seen that phenomenon when certain coaches are at certain places, and maybe the local recruit is not their primary focus. I think Kenny Dillingham has come in and he's been very vocal about saying like, no, we're gonna, because obviously elite players come out of Arizona high school football all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They get poached by Southern California, they get poached by Oregon, and that was one of the things that he came in and said, no, we're going to keep the homegrown talent here now. So for it to have changed that much, even in the 3 years that he's been there, is, seems like he's doing what he said he wants.
Yeah, for sure.
So this Sun Devils team snuck up on people last year. They came in, we didn't do an official preseason poll, but coming into this year, everyone knew good coach, talented team, quarterback that can sling the rock, and he can move. Have you watched, I know you're focused on the defense, have you watched any of what Levitt does and maybe the things that help make their offense successful with a guy like him who has some of your same skills?
Yeah, he's a playmaker as well. He tends to make highlights happen, during games. So I've definitely seen him scrolling through my phone before. But I hang out with the linebackers a lot, so they were watching film. I was just
you hang out with the Utah linebackers?
Yeah, those are my guys. I go in there and just hang out with them. But yeah, I got to see a little bit. He does a great job. He's a phenomenal player. So just that scrambling, it allows you to be able to extend plays, and yeah, he's one of those guys that can create plays for their offense.
If you played defense instead of quarterback, what position would you play?
With like the size of my build right now, or like if I could become
6'4". you want to be a linebacker, it sounds like.
I'd be a defensive end. Dude, it sounds so fun to be out there. Just you're in your own world out there, kind of a little bit. You get the, especially on the pass rush and all that, man.
D-line in general and defensive end is slightly more complicated than interior D-line, but like that is the opposite end of the spectrum of you have to be reading everything. You have to be aware of everything that happens on the field. D-line and D-end, especially if you're like a pass rushing specialist, you don't have to worry about much.
Yeah, no, you go out there and you win your one-on-one, and that literally you get all the opportunities to win your one-on-one.
That's it. So is that why it appeals to you? You're just like, oh, I could just go out there, put my hand in the dirt, see ball, get ball, go get the quarterback.
It's one of those dominant positions on the other side.
We just found out that Devin Dampier wishes he had a simple job on a football field instead of the most complicated one out there. Tell me who you think on this Utah offense has a big game against Arizona State, besides yourself. I mean, it could be anybody. We need to see the offensive line dominate against a quality opponent like Arizona State, obviously. But in practice, through the bye week, getting healthy, whatever, who has a big breakout game, if there is one?
I think it's a good mix. We very well respect that. They do a great job plugging the run defense, the run game. But we have a very talented O-line and running backs that carry the ball. So to be able to battle in that aspect, that I think it's gonna be a pretty even matchup up front. I'm gonna take my guys over their guys any day. So I believe that we're gonna be able to try to run that ball the best way we can.
We wondered if there was going to end up being kind of like star performers on this offense. breakout guys, bell cow backs, etc. Right now, Coach Beck, it seems like, and this was the case when you were at New Mexico also, an even distribution of touches, opportunities, etc., is kind of characteristic of the way he likes to run offense. You don't have, oh, I'm just looking for Dallin Bentley on third down. Oh, I'm only going to, we're down in the red zone. Everyone knows where the ball is going. I think that's great for an offense. As an individual performer, some guys don't necessarily love that they've got to share their touches. How has that been managed in the locker room? How has that been managed in film sessions? It seems like, from the exterior perspective, that everyone's cool with, as long as we're getting wins. If I got 2 touches, great. If I got 15, also great. But you tell me, is that how it is?
Yeah. I think everyone knows how our offense works, and just the progression and things, and obviously taking what the defense gives us. So sometimes opportunities just doesn't present themselves for certain people, and sometimes it elevates for others. So that's very known in our locker room, and just the guys that we recruit and the guys we won at Utah. We recruit guys that play team ball first. So everybody obviously wants it individually, but it's bigger than just you. Utah's a way bigger school than just one individual. So the fact that that's how we carry ourselves is great.
This question's way out of order, but it just popped back into my head now. I remember watching when I saw J.J. Buchanan come down with a contested touchdown catch where, it's tight coverage, well defended, all that stuff, but you threw that ball to him and had the trust that the freshman, big body freshman, is going to come down with it. I was like, man, I got to ask Devin about what he saw on that play. And I guess to some extent why you feel comfortable throwing a ball that is well defended to a player like that, because you haven't known each other that long. You haven't had that many reps together. He is still a freshman. That was like a big boy senior type catch, but you threw the ball knowing he could make it.
Yeah. When JJ got on campus and we had a couple of practice, there's this kind of one time I threw it up to him, and he did a good job getting it. So we repped it a couple more times during practice, and his percentage was pretty high on the throw. So now, when I'm in game, I'm like, man, if you're guarding JJ 101, I'm putting that ball up there. He's going to go grab it. So when that opportunity was there, he knew I was going to him.
So another opportunity for you, for JJ, for everyone else on this offense to have, kind of it's a night game at Rice Eccles. You get these night games. There's less competition in terms of the other games that are being watched. So it's the nightcap for a lot of people. This is going to be how they finish their college football Saturday. So, going to be a lot of eyes on the television sets. An opportunity for you guys to show who you really are as an offense and who you really are as a team. Do you have goals, numbers, things in mind that you want to make sure you hit in this game? Whether it's because of the spotlight or not, are there things in your mind that you have to accomplish against Arizona State besides just the win?
I think my biggest thing is to win at Rice Eccles. I've heard our conference record isn't the best at Rice Eccles right now, so
I don't want to.
That's a big thing for me to turn that around for sure. Home games should be games where it should be 100% wins. So to get that turned around, that's my main objective in my head.
That's one thing that. It's a stat, obviously, that nobody likes, right? Since joining the Big 12, Rice Eccles is not – conference opponents have come in and they've won. Coach Witt that was pointed out to him in the press conference on Monday, and he was like, that sucks. Whether he knew it or not, or he was just pretending he didn't know that was interesting to me. Has that become part of the conversation in the locker room?
No, I happened to been online, and it was just right there, and I was like, oh, all right, but let's turn this around.
That's one thing that's great about it, right? Is you could turn it around.
Yeah, right.
And a win against the ranked Arizona State team puts you guys exactly where you want to be. How hard is it to focus? That's the wrong way to phrase the question. Has anyone mentioned BYU at all yet? Besides me, now.
In our locker room, no. It's one game at a time. Yeah, shouldn't dare to talk about anybody else when we got another team playing. I've heard outside, though, the game's getting closer.
Sure.
It's a big game for Utah for sure, so I understand why it's being talked about.
We'll get to that conversation next week. Well, we'll leave it at that because Arizona State, it is a tough test. It's a very, very winnable game for you all. And I think, what you showed as a team in that West Virginia game, the bounce back from a Texas Tech loss that could be mentally taxing. I think it was a testament to who you guys are as a team and what the Utah football culture is, that, you go into a road environment and you look like the team we thought you were.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, the Big 12 is a lot more balanced, so, it's easy to lose a game for sure. Things happen, so. But I think the best thing about losses is, again, you learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about your team, and just the way we bounce back, it almost built more confidence in our team that, we could do this.
What did you do during the bye week to get your mind off football?
I had an opportunity to go to Minnesota, met all my family there.
Nice.
Because we're really from Minnesota. We were the extended family that went to Arizona, so all my mom, dad, brothers, we went to Minnesota, and I was with my cousins and uncles and all that. So,
nice. Little family reunion type situation.
Yep.
What part of Minnesota?
Brooklyn Park.
Okay.
So it's a little bit north of Minneapolis.
All right.
But yeah.
I was born in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
I lived there. I lived in Cottage Grove, which is right outside St. Paul.
Okay. Yeah.
I was 9, and then we moved to Utah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
no.
Great place.
Yeah.
Minnesota's great.
Yeah, it is.
The winters are a little bit hard.
Yeah, they're brutal.
That's crazy.
That's kind of why we went to Arizona. My dad said he got tired of all that cold and shoveling, and just too much came with those winters.
I remember when we moved, I was in 3rd grade, going into 3rd grade. We moved that summer. When we moved to Utah, one of the strangest things for me, in Minnesota, when you're a little kid, you can walk across the top of the snow a lot of times, right? Because it freezes so hard. And I remember when that first summer or that first winter in Utah, like, that never happened. You could never walk on top of the snow. You'd be trying to walk around and sled, and you're
sinking,
going
you're
sinking.
sinking.
Like, what's wrong with your snow?
2 different snows.
And everyone's looking at me like I was crazy because in Utah it doesn't get to -10 like it does in Minnesota.
That's funny.
Anyway, Devin, good luck. Thanks for joining us as usual. Looking forward to another big performance, and have fun against Arizona State. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Dishing with Dev right here on the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Taste the Culligan difference. America First Credit Union, Polylift Concrete Lifting and Piering, and, of course, ARUP Blood Services. Give local, save local. Lots left to get to. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Eric Weddle coming up on the Sean O'Connell Show, Utah's #1 sports talk.
Sean O'Connell Show coming at you live from the Paris RV Used RV Super Sale. Provo Town Center Mall, southwest corner of the parking lot, next to the Target. Over 100 units on the lot today, 50% off many of these over brand new retail. If you're looking to get into the RV world, now is the time. This is the place. Come see us. Tell them OC sent you when you stop by. Josh Newman, kind enough to join us. Utes Mailbag and other such places covering college football. Josh, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm well. I appreciate you having me as always, OC.
Yeah, it's always great catching up with you, especially, I sometimes I get too close to it all with this University of Utah football team, and I overreact sometimes. I could be accused of overreacting to the import of this game against Arizona State. I really do feel like it is as critical a game of a regular season game as I can remember, just because of all the backdrop of, Kyle Whittingham's future. How much longer is he going to be here? Is this team going to remain in the national power structure? They're just outside the top 25 right now. Arizona State feels like they're invested in their future in a lot of ways. This Big 12 conference is so balanced, and BYU is what it is right now. And I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, you have to win this game. I know every game's must win, but you absolutely have to win this game on Saturday to keep yourself in the conference title picture, and for Utah football to be what it's supposed to be, you have to be in that conversation. Am I overreacting?
You are not. You are not overreacting, and it's funny you bring this up first because I just filed a column for KSL essentially saying this is a must-win game. And to further that point, everything is at stake. Everything is at stake. If you don't win this game, you can still get to the Big 12 title game if you lose this game, but it's going to become a lot harder if you lose this game. The perception of this team is at stake, okay? They haven't beaten anybody. The one team worth their weight, Texas Tech, beat Utah. Once upon a time, Rice Eccles was a complete house of horrors for opponents. That has not been the case for the last year plus, right? They're 0-5 at Rice Eccles against Big 12 competition dating back to the start of last season. So look, the perception of what Rice Eccles is and what a night kickoff means at Rice Eccles, I think that's at stake. And off in the distance, Kyle Whittingham's future. We all sort of know the background with his contract, and he came back for this season, said he didn't want to leave on a sour note last season. Look, if they lose this game, the tone of the season starts to look much different. Big picture, long-term goals in terms of getting to the Pac-12 championship, the Big 12 championship game, potentially getting to the 12-team college football playoff. Those things sort of go away, and once those things start to sort of fade, is Kyle Whittingham going to begin to walk towards the proverbial door and into retirement? So I don't think you're overstating what this is. This is a gigantic football game that Utah absolutely must win for a number of reasons.
All right. Thank you for confirming my own internal bias there. And let's talk about what the game actually is, though, on the field, because this is an Arizona State team that does not have the ultimate trump card from last year in Cam Scadaboo. They do have, to this point, the most productive running back in the Big 12 Conference, a guy averaging 6.5+ yards per carry. They have the number one wide receiver in the conference as well. They have a guy who a lot of people thought was going to be the number one quarterback in the conference in Sam Levitt. He has not yet played to that expectation, but he has been good, and he's been good, especially with his legs in timely situations. I bring that up because they got three of the if there's like a dozen star players in the conference right now, at least two of them reside on this Arizona State roster, and you could make a case, depending on how Sam Levitt plays against Utah and moving forward, that he also belongs in that conversation. Does Utah have the firepower defensively, given the injury report right now, to slow down this offense spearheaded by those three names?
Yeah, on paper, generally speaking, not just in the secondary, but all over. I was looking at it. I do feel like Utah has just a little too much all over the place for Arizona State to deal with for four quarters. But yes, the secondary does give you some reason to pause. And if Sam Levitt is slinging it, right, and Jordan Tyson has sort of emerged as a Litnikoff Award candidate. He's been excellent so far. And yeah, Utah's banged up, so that's sort of the main question going on here, right? With Nate Ritchie out, what are you doing at that other safety spot? Is Nate Milton, up for this, with the added reps? And you're going to have to move some guys over potentially, right? Kyle Whittingham floated the idea of moving Rock Caldwell, back to safety. He doesn't have a ton of reps under his belt, so this is one of those things where Morgan Scalley is going to have to earn earn his paycheck this week, right? Because if Levitt is going all over the place against not a completely depleted Utah secondary, but if Levitt is going all over the place against these pieces that are trying to be mixed and matched into the correct spots, it's going to be a long night for Utah potentially.
So Devin Dampier featured in some local headlines certainly, but even some national headlines in the perceived management or mismanagement, depending on which side of the fence you're on, of the injury report as it became a thing in the Big 12 Conference for the first time. And, I mean, all the reporting on it aside, it seems like the bye week came at a good time and his leg should be back to at least, an acceptable level of performance. He's been hampered these last 2 weeks. Against Texas Tech, I think it hurt the team. It hurt his performance a little bit. Against West Virginia, they're not scary enough to have that have been a major issue. And in fact, it kind of forced him to stay in the pocket and develop that portion of his game a little bit more in live reps. When we look at Devin Dampier, and it's not him versus Sam Levitt, but it kind of is, he, in my opinion, has delivered on the expectations so far this season. Yeah, there's been a couple errant throws, but again, this is a different opponent. This is a different type team. Defensively, Arizona State is going to dare you to throw that football. They're really good against the run. Can Devin Dampier exploit whatever weaknesses we think there are on Arizona State's defense and make this an offensive day for the Utes?
Yeah, he's been very good. I don't think there's any, debating the fact that Devin Dampier has been very good, but the very good has come against UCLA and Cal Poly and Wyoming and West Virginia, right? And against Texas Tech, who is arguably the best team Utah will play this season, Devin Dampier was not good, and he was holding on to it for too long, and he was missing throws, and there was no downfield presence. You need to be, the things that he did in Utah's 4 wins, he needs to be carrying some of that over to this opponent, right? Arizona State, a team that is more so in Utah's weight class, so to speak, more than a UCLA or a Wyoming. Like, if Utah is going to get where it wants to go, and again, everything is on the table still, right? You have one conference loss, but you can still do everything that you wanted to do this season if you're Utah. But Dampier's going to have to do something against a real opponent, so to speak. So, going to be interesting. I agree with you, right? The bye came at a good time for Devin Dampier specifically. Just, again, he was, as you said, OC, he was limited a bit. He looked like he was not operating at full capacity, especially against, Texas Tech and, then against Wyoming. So, against West Virginia. So this is a big game for Utah, but, boiling that down a little bit more, this is a big game for Devin Dampier because while he's been very good, he has yet to do that against a real opponent, so to speak, I think.
Josh Newman for another minute or two here on the Sean O'Connell Show, breaking down a huge matchup for Utah this weekend against Arizona State. And looking at the college football world, how much longer is Bill Belichick going to last at North Carolina, given what has come out in the recent days?
Yeah, it's something else. I mean, I don't know that anybody thought that they would be like world beaters at North Carolina. I thought just given Bill Belichick's acumen and right, he's got help, from his GM in Mike Lombardi. I thought they would be at least mildly competitive in the ACC, but that has not been the case. And right, you saw some reporting about he'll take a buyout of $1 million if he can find a soft landing spot. And then of course North Carolina comes out last night at like 9:40 at night with a statement from Bill Belichick and a statement from Bubba Cunningham, the AD. Look, it's a train wreck, but it would be much, much worse, especially for his legacy, if he doesn't at least finish out the season. Like if he bails, Halloween or so, early November with games still to play, that would be a terrible, terrible look for everybody involved.
Speaking of terrible looks for everybody involved, what are people so mad about with Arch Manning? Is it because is the media now bullying this guy because we all fell for it? We all fell for, he's going to be like, he's this wunderkind, he is the next Manning, he is going to be the savior of college football with an old school mentality in a new school world, and it hasn't quite lived up to the hype. It's wild to see like the Athletic just be like, is he the new name synonymous with failure? Like, just bananas. And I'm like, guys, can we calm down? Can we pump the brakes a little bit? He's not that bad.
I mean, look, the whole thing jumped the shark with the column from The Athletic. Is he the first college football player to flop? Is he a college football flop? It's like, have you been watching college football for the last 6 decades? Like, I don't think Arch Manning is the first 5-star kid to flop. And let's back up a second. He's not a flop, okay? This is what it is. Like, locally here in Austin, yeah, there's been hype, and we've been talking about it, and we've been writing about it, and, everybody – the fan base was sort of like waiting for Quinn Ewers to leave for the NFL because they wanted to get Manning in there. And then Manning starts 2 games last year when Ewers was hurt, and he looked terrific. And then they had him, look, Steve Sarkisian had Arch Manning in there, red zone, high red zone, 3rd and short because he's got legs, and he looked great. And I think we all sort of just assumed that he would step in and it would be not seamless, but like it would be an upgrade, right? And then, the season starts against Ohio State, and he looks unsure, and he's standing in the pocket too long, and he's not getting rid of it. And the offensive line, they graduated 80% of their offensive line. New offensive line has objectively been terrible, and it's not helping Arch Manning. So, yeah, we're in an interesting position here where nobody wants to hear it locally here. Like the fan base doesn't want to hear it. You're losing football games. That's the point. You're losing football games. You're playing Oklahoma, who is your arch rival, in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. It's a whole thing here. And if you lose this game, you're not going to the college football playoff. Like, that's what's at stake for Texas. If you lose another game, you're not going to the SEC championship game. You're not going to the college football playoff. Arch Manning will have lost to Oklahoma, okay, which is a cardinal sin. So it's been very interesting here locally just to see where it's been in terms of the hype, and the hype is not panned out. And now we're over the top, calling him a flop. And look, he's far from Texas's, biggest problem. Arch Manning is not Texas's biggest problem, but he is the highest profile problem that Texas has because his last name is Manning.
He started the season in like a hypothetical Heisman Trophy conversation, which nobody had any business having before games were played. But that's the way we do things. Now we're heading into, the 6th game of the year for most teams, and I still don't know who, like, if the season ended today, who would win the Heisman Trophy? Who's a viable, hardcore candidate at this point?
I mean, Carson Beck, maybe. Carson Beck's been excellent, playing for Miami under that scheme. And I'm sitting here, like, thinking Julian Sayin, maybe from Ohio State, but there's nobody – I certainly don't think that there's any, like, automatic lock name out there. Like, we could lob, 4, 5, 6 names. I don't think we're sitting here on October 8th thinking that there's a primary candidate, which is fun, right? It was interesting, as you alluded to, it was sort of Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, Gunnar Henderson from Georgia. Those were the names preseason. They've been bad. Cade Klubnik from Clemson. That was another name that was thrown out there preseason. They've all been bad. And now you've sort of got this wide-open Heisman race, which to me it's fun. You've got some new blood in there and new names being bandied about. Miami's really good. I think that's a lot of fun for college football. So you never know. You never know what these things. Preseason polls, preseason hype, preseason Heisman doesn't really mean anything. Ultimately, it's just a talking point in the offseason to get us to the regular season. And it's obviously it has not panned out the way that we thought it would. Back in August.
All right, last thing I promised before I let you go. The college football carousel started spinning extra early this year, and I think Bill Belichick's eventual departure from North Carolina will add another Power 5, Power 4 job to the list of openings. Assuming that North Carolina is also in the mix, which of the openings is the best job, is the most appealing job? All of them have their appeal and their warts.
I'm trying to think who else is out right now.
Let's see, UCLA's got an opening. You've got Virginia Tech's got an opening. Oklahoma State's got an opening. North Carolina's going to have an opening.
Okay, yeah, I had a bit of a brain fart there. The UCLA opening, I mean, if I would not take the UCLA job until you had a very clear understanding of what are they doing to support the program, because it's widely known that UCLA does not want to dump all that money into football. Yes, they built a practice facility, and Chip Kelly had enough resources. But Sean Foster did not have enough resources. And NIL, they were slow to that. I would not take the UCLA job until it was made clear to me what what level of resource they are willing to give. Oklahoma State, T-Boone Pickens, that money, what's the most attractive job? Well, kind of depends on, again, what level of resourcing are you getting? Like Virginia Tech, on the surface, has always been a tough job because Blacksburg is sort of in the middle of nowhere and it's tough to recruit. And, the job that Frank Beamer did there for so long at Virginia Tech sort of belies the difficulty of that job. So it really comes down to resources and what these respective schools are willing to give the next head coach. I mean, in a vacuum, North Carolina still strikes me as sort of the best job there because the ACC is a bit weaker than the rest of the Power Four, and you can compete in the ACC with the level of resource that Bill Belichick had or has at his disposal. So in a vacuum, probably UNC among the jobs that are open right now.
Little Bird told me you might actually be making a physical appearance here in Salt Lake City this weekend. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is factual. Back in August, I was talking with Josh Furlong over at KSL, and I'm doing some stuff for him, and we decided, hey, let's try to get me to a game, and we sort of circled this one as the one that makes the most sense for myself. Right, I have two young kids, so to get away for a weekend is not easy. But again, we landed on this one, and it just so happens to be a huge one. So I'm looking forward to getting into town tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing a bunch of people on campus and off, and looking forward to covering a game. I'm between jobs at the moment, haven't had an opportunity to cover a game this season for anybody. So from that standpoint, I'm very much looking forward to the weekend.
Well, we will look forward to having you here in Salt Lake. Always appreciate you giving us time on the show. Thank you, Josh.
All right, OC, I appreciate it.
Josh Newman. Check out the Utah mailbag over at KSL.com. And if you see him at Rice-Eccles Stadium, holler at him. Sean O'Connell Show continuing from the Paris RV Super Sale. We've still got plenty left to get to, and Eric Weddle will join us at the top of hour number 3. That's 8 minutes from now. It's Utah's number one sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. We're actually down in Provo today at the Paris RV used RV blowout sale. Come down, say hello. Southwest corner of the parking lot at Provo Town Center, adjacent to the Target. Steve sits down with us to give me some of the details on exactly what's going on. Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. A little bird wandered over earlier, told me more than 100 units on the lot here today. Is that
Yes,
true?
that's right. We have Class C motorhomes, Class A, Super Cs, some Class Bs, lots of different choices out here.
For the novice who doesn't know the difference between a Class A, a Class Z, a Class C, do I need a CDL to drive any of these bad boys? Is there anything special that I got to get into in order to get myself in one of these RVs?
Nope, Class D will do it. Regular driver's license, nothing that requires any type of training, or just got to be able to know how to drive.
Okay. Beyond that, right? I mean, it can be a little bit daunting when you maybe you didn't grow up in the RV world, and you're like, oh man, I love the idea of being able to go out there into the mountains, drive down to the West Desert, go down to the Canyonlands, and just park my rig. But if you've never done it, I mean, how much does it take to learn how to really operate one of these things?
It actually doesn't take much. I mean, I'm out of the Payson store, so when I do a test drive with customers, I encourage them to come back on the freeway and drive down to Santa Quin and back, maybe even a little further, to try to get a feel for it.
Sure.
And see what it's going to be like for them.
What about the setup, though? Once you get that, I mean, like these pop-outs, the power, where's my batteries, how do I hook up the drainage, et cetera? I mean, this is all pretty user-friendly?
It is very user-friendly. Plus, anything that we sell, we do a thorough walkthrough to educate the customer how to use it.
50% off brand new pricing on some of these models, is that true?
Yes. Yeah, they're units that have been here that need to go. The new 2026s are rolling in and trying to make some room for that upcoming inventory.
And the forecast is showing there might be a little bit of rain, a little bit of drizzle happening at some point over the weekend. You guys are out here till dusk, rain or shine. That's correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Come down, tell Steve, hey, I want to test drive one of these bad boys. I got toys I need to haul, or maybe I'm on a budget and I need something a little bit smaller. You have something that fits every plan, every budget, every goal that people have in getting access to the outdoors.
Yeah, we do. I mean, from small travel trailers up to a couple of 45-foot fifth-wheel toy haulers. We have pretty much everything here that's on clearance and priced to move.
And that is the key. Steep discounts. If you've thought about it, you've wondered, is this the right time? I can tell you definitively, now is the right time. Get down here to Provo Town Center, right next to the Target, southwest corner of the parking lot. We're just off the freeway. Check out the selection, something to fit every budget. If you're experienced in this RV world, they've got something for you. If you're brand new looking to get into it, not only will they sell you something at a great price, but they'll educate you on exactly how to use it and how to maximize the opportunities. And you live in Utah, for hell's sake, all right? You got natural beauty all around us. Get yourself an RV that'll take you right out into the middle of it.
Yep, that is exactly why we're here.
Thank you for sitting down with me, Steve.
You bet, no problem.
Thanks for having us out here. Eric Weddle next on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show on a Thursday. It's been a couple of weeks. Time to catch up with my guy, the Utah football legend, the longtime NFL veteran, the head coach of the Rancho Bernardo Broncos, Eric Weddle. E-Dub, how are you, sir?
The real OC. It's been a couple weeks. I've missed our time. Things have passed, but the football world of the Utes has improved. We've won, and we're going to win tomorrow night. Or
All right.
Saturday night, sorry.
Let's go. Look, obviously the bounce-back win that we haven't had a chance to talk to you about against West Virginia, that's always important. Shake the monkey off your back after a bad loss like you had against Texas Tech. Do it on the road, and do so in convincing fashions. Take me inside the psychology of a locker room, a team that needs that and goes out on the road and gets it. I mean, how much can that kind of change your practice week heading into the bye especially?
Well, you never want to let one loss, one bad, or maybe a quarter performance linger into another game, and then before you know it, you're looking at a 5-5 season. And you're like, what the heck happened? Because it just all starts rambling together, and so it's huge to bounce back, to play well as a team, to be efficient on offense, to play well on defense. I mean, the defense played lights out for 3 quarters and 5 minutes, and then it just, came unraveling, and the quarterback that came in made some unbelievable throws and this and that, and offense struggled throughout that whole game. But to come back against West Virginia on the road, handle the travel and all that entails, it's huge. And then you got to go win the bye, and I expect a high energized, passionate performance that would beat the Sun Devils at home.
So, Rice Eccles, in your time at the University of Utah and in recent years, has been, it's a place that's tough to play for opposing teams. And that it became even more of a reputation through those Pac-12 championship years. And an unfortunate quirk of how things have gone since joining the Big 12 is right now Utah is winless against conference opponents at home. Rice Eccles has a reputation to live up to. The team has a reputation at home to live up to. It adds another layer of conversation, another wrinkle to this game against Arizona State. I mean, look, you had some good performances. You had at least one game that you should have won at home in that time span. But how do you make sure you maximize your performance at home, but also not let the fact that this team in the last year and a half is over on home grass? Like, how do you balance those two things and make sure you get the good performance that you need?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's brought up. And in all honesty, I think our situation, our program, our culture, our night performances is well documented. And I just think night games at our home place, it's like a mystique. You get those good vibes. Everyone plays a little bit more amped up when it's a night game and everyone's watching, and it's just something electric. It brings back those Friday night light feels that we all love as football players. So I don't last year was an anomaly. The 10 a.m. kickoff versus Texas Tech, I mean, it was a huge game at home. But that doesn't really constitute, in my mind, a night game, primetime game against a good opponent at home, which I foresee a great performance. ASU is a legit team. Not taking anything away from them, but I don't see any reason why we don't win this game Saturday night.
I've been trying to be sort of not look through the crimson glasses altogether, but I still every angle I take on evaluating this game, I'm like, yeah, there's no reason why Utah shouldn't be able to get out of here with a win. I think the biggest question mark right now is how do you manage the safety position? And you know a thing or two about the importance of that position in this defense, as does the coordinator himself, Morgan Scalley. Nate Ritchie has had his ups and downs this year, and he's out. At least for this game, he is not going to be able to play. They've talked about, is Jackson Benny healthy enough? Can you put him back at safety after transitioning him to nickel and playing him on both sides of the ball? They talked about finding a corner who can fill that role. I mean, what do you do when you've got a guy like Nate Ritchie, who hasn't played perfectly, but he's been in good positions in pretty much every rep, most reps on this season, and now he's not available to you. And the guy that you've seen as a backup, the Tillman kid, has not been ideal as of yet. You had 2 weeks to prepare him. How do you manage this if you're coaching it?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Like coaches know what you have, right? And there's guys that are in there for a reason. And of course, on the outside, you always want something better until that guy's not in there, and then you realize what's behind him is not nearly as good. So, you just have to manage it. You have to put them in comfortable spots that they're confident in. Don't ask them to do too much. Maybe pull back the scheme a little bit, knowing that the safeties are required to do a lot in our defense with checks and rotations and, mix and matching coverages and whatnot, and then put more on Sayal of just doing more of the heavy lifting, per se, of doing more of the down stuff if he's going to be blitzing and those stuff, and just leave the other guy in the post or half or quarters or whatever the coverage asks. So then he could just play fast and confident. So, I talked to Morgan during the bye week, and we did talk about that, and he'll have a plan for it. But it's not as easy as just throwing a guy in there at safety. That's a very unique position that takes a lot of reps, a lot of game experience to get comfortable and to play at a high clip.
Well, I know safety is important in every defense, but in this defense in particular, safeties are so critical. And is there a way that you can adjust the scheme? I guess maybe you already answered this, to where you start to put some of that load on, like, put it on Lander Barton this week. He can't go back and play safety, but is there a way you can adjust your calls to reduce responsibility for someone who's just getting their first real reps?
For sure. I mean, that's why Morgan gets paid the big bucks. And, as a coach, you always have to evaluate and identify what you do well as a defense and what the individual is being asked to do, and then can they execute what they're being asked to do or coached to do. And if that is becoming a question, or for right now in this example, that just the experience, the mental aptitude of what they're being asked to do, then you pull that back. You can easily change the blitzes, design new blitzes with the same coverages, so now Lander's blitzing, or we're switching it with the nickel, and now the nickel's blitzing. Or, instead of the end dropping out, the end's now blitzing field responsibility. Like, there's so much you could do to take the load off of that position to make sure we play well as a defense.
Eric Weddle's our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking about Utah versus Arizona State. Night game, Rice Eccles. Pre-game coverage starts here on ESPN 792 on FM with Porter Larson and Trevor Riley and company 4 hours before kickoff. Scott, Sly, and Bill are 2 hours before kickoff. You look at the offensive side of the ball for this Utah team. A deep threat wide receiver has yet to emerge. Ryan Davis, the New Mexico transfer, has become kind of wide receiver number one. I guess we shouldn't be surprised by that because of his chemistry already built in with Devin Dampier. And Dev himself has been a lot more efficient. After a bye week, halfway through the season, this will be game number 6. Are you looking to maintain what you're getting out of Devin Dampier, or can we still unlock more of his ability, especially now that the leg's a little healthier?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. We're always trying to push for greatness and adapt, evolve, begin to progress into the offense that we want to become. We know we're going to be able to run the ball in most cases. We're going to be able to control the clock. We're going to be efficient. We just have to be able to create more big plays up the field, and that's generally for every offense. You're always searching for ways to create big plays because it's such a huge factor in the game of field position, of momentum. You create, 5+ explosives, your chance to win the game goes up exponentially. So those are like 25-yard pass plays. Those are 20-yard runs. So yeah, I mean, I just know as a defense and as a guy that tries to stop offenses and vice versa, trying to attack defenses, if you don't press vertically and show that you can attack over the top, it just brings everyone closer to you, and it brings those drops closer, and it becomes very, very difficult to sustain drives when you're not creating big plays.
I tried to explain on the show, I think 2 days ago, why pass rush lane integrity was so important against somebody like Sam Levitt. We saw it in Tempe last year where you get home, you almost get home, you get a hand on him, you don't get him to the ground, and he hurts you for 15 yards. He extends the drive with a 20-yard scramble and things like that. You're better at coaching it. You're better at describing it. You were a hell of a lot better at playing it. How do you contain a mobile quarterback like this whose first option is obviously always to pass this ball, but if you create a seam for him, he's going to hurt you? How as a defense do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, it takes everybody. It's a conscious effort from repping it during bye week, how you take on block, how you get to the level of the quarterback and then squeeze the pocket, knowing what he likes to do. Does he like to step up and in to escape? Does he spin out? Does he always like to work to his right so he can still have an ability to throw it? Being able to blitz his throwing hand and almost conjuring up a spy on the weak side of the pressure. Like I try to tell our guys when we blitz or have a blitz path or a concept of the movement with the D-line and whoever's blitzing, that the D tackle or D end away is a bull rush to spy guy, understanding that when the quarterback sees that pressure coming to his right or left, he's going to escape away. Well, then you fall into sacks a lot of times, and you save the quarterback from running. So it just takes everybody. It's a disciplined effort. You have to practice it. You have to rep it. You have to be conscious of it and have a really sound plan for quarterbacks that can run, because they'll ruin the game for you. When you have such good coverage, the guy makes the guy miss, and then big plays happen.
All right, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to ask you some NFL questions. We saw a guy I know I'm a huge fan of. I know you're a huge fan of, Devin Lloyd, with the pick six, 99-yard touchdown interception. He picks the ball, then he jukes Mahomes out of his jock, and he runs it 99 yards, a double win against the quarterback on the play. And look, Devin Lloyd, he was a highly thought-of player coming out in the draft. He had some growing pains in the NFL. And now we're watching him as one of the most productive linebackers in the league right now. He's leading the league in interceptions from a middle linebacker spot, which is absolutely insane. He's not like this huge tackling machine, which is kind of odd in one sense. But tell me, like, how it happens for a player like Devin Lloyd to have the leap up here in this year compared to what we've seen from him so far in his NFL career.
Well, I mean, the league is crazy, and there's just levels to it, right? You reach levels in college, and as you were as a junior and senior, you were way different and a better player than you were as a freshman and sophomore. It's just the progress that you're trying to do as a player, the more experience, the knowledge, the work ethic, you're learning and growing as a man, and it's no different in the NFL. So yes, he was playing, and he was a good player, but there's levels to it, and if you're willing to work and willing to learn and be coached and really just sacrifice everything to be the best, then you'll reap those rewards, being a good teammate, all that stuff. So it's no surprise as his journey has gone on in the NFL and showing he's always been an elite athlete playing linebacker who could do some special things in pass coverage, and now we're seeing it live on national television that we saw in college. I mean, I always relate it to NFL, or when I was playing, you get to a point where you feel like it's college all over again. And then you even get to a point where you feel like it's high school all over again. Just the level that you're playing at, because everything is in sync, your mind, your body, emotionally, spiritually. Like when you're all in line and you're playing at a high clip, it's literally like Friday Night Lights at high school when you're dominating the game. So, and it's just a nice reminder for everyone that thinks tackling is easy and thinks Mahomes is such a great athlete and this and that. Let's just pump our brakes, guys. It's tough to do things at the NFL level, regardless of the position.
Oh, that's amazing. Look, that was a big win, huge moment in the game, obviously, 14-point swing on that particular play, but it was also a big win for the Jags, for Trevor Lawrence in his career, et cetera. I never want to put too much weight on a single regular season victory, especially in the NFL. But could that be a turning point for a Jags team that has yet to deliver on the promise of all these high draft picks?
Oh, I mean, that's a big-time win. That's a culture, that's a program-type win, building-type win for Coach Cohen, who I've been around and very knowledgeable, super high Q. Actually really impressed how he's been as a head coach and just his leadership and it factor. Like, I didn't necessarily, and this is no, like, knock on him. I just didn't know, like, he had that it factor or those leadership qualities. But he's sure proven me wrong and couldn't be happier for him and whatnot. But those are definitely, like, the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are what they are, but that's still the class of the NFL. So you have a win like that in prime time can only accelerate the progress of what you want to see in your program.
I can't let you get out of here without talking about an undefeated Rancho Bernardo Broncos team. 6-0, dog. What's going on?
Well, I mean, shoot, we didn't talk for a couple weeks. I mean, I got disqualified 3 weeks ago.
What happened? Tell me why we had to have an assistant coach. Come on. What, like,
seriously.
Is there a dark side of Eric Weddle that we're not aware of that reared its ugly head?
No, I wish that was the case, but I don't even, honestly, Sean, I don't even talk to refs because most cases they're really good to me. They're nice. A lot of times they, like, take it out of my team for whatever reason. I think it's, we don't want this NFL guy coming into our space and puffing out his chest. I literally don't raise my voice. I don't yell at the refs. I understand how hard it is to be a ref. I played alongside them for a lot of years, so I get it. The conversations, the calls, the missed calls, that's part of the game. So when my assistant accidentally bumped into the refs twice, we didn't get any warnings, no explanation, just 2 fouls, boom, boom. I leave the game 5 minutes to go in a 2-point game on the road up in L.A. Luckily, we pulled it out. That following week, Monday, I get a call that I'm suspended for the next game because I got DQ'd. So the next game, I'm out, not allowed in the stadium, can't see my players, coaches, nothing. So I'm basically watching on the live stream, and we had some unfortunate events that I don't need to recall, but we pulled that game out in overtime. So then I come back next week, this past week, and back on the sidelines and playing our rival first league game and win 31-17. It's actually 31-10. We gave up a kick return touchdown, so I don't really count that against my defense. And being a proud dad, for all the U fans out there that follow Gage, he played 116 snaps, was 14 of 23 for 280 and a touchdown, ran the ball 11 times for 75 and 3 touchdowns, and then on defense had 8 tackles and 3 TFLs to lead our team. So it's good to have good players. I always say that.
Good to have good players. Even better to be the genetic makeup of those good players, I imagine.
Touche.
Oh, that's wow. Well, congrats, man. I know it means a lot to you, and I know that the development of the young man and being around your own son is just as much a part of it as coaching winning football. But I know you well enough. So this would be hard for you if you weren't winning football games. So it's got to be a lot of fun to be sitting there at 6-0.
Oh, of course. I mean, you're trying to teach these moments through football, and, adversity and highs and lows, and how to handle negativity, how to handle jealousy, how to handle staying connected as a team through good times and bad times. And, most of my kids, I think, are really believing what we're trying to teach them on and off the field and trying to become an upstanding man who one day will look back and be proud of come through our program, who will be a successful father and husband one day. I mean, I know I say that all the time, but really that is the goal. When these guys leave my program, I hope 5 years down the road that I get a call that said that we just had our first kid, or invite me to their wedding, because our program and our coaches and our leaders and our father figures had an impact on them for the better. And you'll have your outliers that go on to play D1, and you'll support them. But for the most part, you just want to see kids come through your program that become successful on and off the field and be great fathers and husbands one day.
Well, as a father of daughters, I can tell you I hope that every high school's got a coach out there who has that priority and has the type of leadership that you're talking about. I mean, it really does mean a lot, and it can help out even those of us who don't have sons. So I appreciate that about you. I appreciate everything about you, dog. The bad boy of the San Diego high school coaching circuit, Eric Weddle.
Seriously. I mean, if I'm going to get thrown out, let it be a real reason. Like, all I knew was the head ref came up to me 5 minutes ago. He brought me over and he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know you're disqualified." And I laughed. I said, "Oh, what did I do?" He said, "Hey, you got to leave the field right now." They didn't give me an explanation. I was like, "All right, man. Hey, coaches, let's get this job done, man."
Wow. That's some wild stuff. All right. Well, we'll do the investigative report. There'll be a 30 for 30 about it in about 5 years.
Seriously.
Oh, man.
I love it.
Love talking to you. Appreciate you joining us again. Chat again next week for Rivalry Week. Yeah, make sure you got your favorite story about you versus the Cougs fired up for next week, all right?
I definitely will. Good to see you,
All right,
brother.
man.
Go Utes.
All right, talk soon. That's Eric Weddle, the Utah football legend, longtime NFL veteran, and the undefeated, at least to this point, head coach of the Rancho Bernardo Broncos. And his own son, Gage Weddle, is going to be a top 5 definitively. He might be the top recruit in his class when it's all said and done. I'm not talking about just in the state of California. I'm talking about in the country. If you have a spare 10 minutes of time and you just want to see what's next in the college football world, go type in Gage Weddle, Rancho Bernardo, or Gage Weddle highlights or whatever. The kid moves just like his dad. It's insane. All right, we're down here at the Paris RV blowout sale at the Provo Town Center Mall. We're just adjacent to the Target, southwest corner of the lot here. And, man, can I call you the brains of the operation?
Sure. Sure, I don't care.
You're the reason why we get to do this. We've seen you up in Ogden. We've seen you in the Salt Lake Valley. Now we get to see you down here in Utah County. By the way, which of these is which is your bread and butter? Which of these markets does the best for you?
There's not the Wasatch Front, I'd say, is all pretty equal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
cool.
all about the same.
All right. So we're going today, tomorrow, Saturday until dusk.
Right.
Rain or shine, you're going to be out here.
Yep.
You got 100-plus units on the lot right here.
Yep.
Tent trailers, toy haulers.
Motorhomes. B-vans.
You got a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Travel trailers, fifth wheels, you name it, we've got it. And, I don't know if you mentioned this, but they're all used.
Yes.
All these vehicles are used, and they came in for a variety of different reasons. Many of them are just nice trade-ins. But, boy, I bought a whole bunch of manufacturer buybacks.
Okay.
What that's all about is if a dealer goes out of business, the manufacturer has to buy back the inventory if it's within a certain number of years.
Okay.
And so, I got a huge batch of one particular brand because they had 4 dealers go out of business in between Texas and Oregon.
All right.
And, they came to me because I'm the guy in the area and I'm one of the bigger dealers in the western side of the United States. And they said, here's this list of units, and here's the price you can buy them at. And every single one of them, I looked at it like, okay, if I was buying this or taking this on trade as a used vehicle, what would I pay? And I went out to the side, and I put that price on each one of them. And then I looked at it, and I said, okay, every one of these units, with the exception of one, was cheaper than what I would pay on a trade-in. And these are new vehicles with full warranty. So it's like getting a brand-new vehicle at a used price. Because if there's anything wrong with it, the factory pays to put it back together, which there isn't. We inspected them all and got them. If there was anything, we got it tackled right away. So that's one way we got some of these units is factory buybacks. We've been buying a bunch of these rental returns from El Monte out of Vegas. And actually, they come out of Southern California, Northern California. I make them transport them to Vegas because I don't want to go any further to get them.
Okay,
but,
fair.
It's amazing to me. I look at them, and they are frontline ready. And what I mean by frontline ready is everything works. No dings, no dents, no scratches. I was down there, 6-7 months ago, picked out some units, and one of them had a scratch in the countertop. I wouldn't have cared. It's fine. The guy walks in, he goes, oh, there's a scratch in the countertop. Okay, we'll get a new countertop in this before you take it.
Wow.
I really didn't even care, but when he said that, I'm like, well, great, that's fine.
Yeah. If you're offering, why not?
Yeah, and they are literally, again, I call them frontline ready. I don't even need to do anything. Now, we do go through ourselves and check fridge, furnace, electrical, water, propane, air conditioning, generator, put new batteries on them, fill them full of propane, make sure they're camp ready for the next person. But that's another example of vehicles that are 50 cents on the dollar that are a year old. And so that's pretty amazing. And then, of course, there's some repos. Repos, usually we got to do a little bit more with them, but there's not very many repos. I only get the ones that are the very, very cleanest, nicest ones because I don't want to deal with anything that's outside the box. And some of these units, if we get them and they don't pass our bill of health, and we just look at them and say, that one's not going to, we can't put our sticker on it.
Sure.
We just can't do it. Then we take them straight out to the auction and get rid of them. So they're all good units.
So they're used, yes, but this is the cream of the crop in the used RV market in the West.
Yeah, I mean, there just isn't really anything else like that, and there's so many of them. I walk through it, and I'm like, what's the story on this one? The tags are still on it.
Yeah.
What happened on this? And I find out somebody bought it, went out once or twice, and went, this is too small, this is too big, this is the wrong type, I don't like the floor plan, I had visioned in my mind what I ought to have, and this is not it. I need to trade it in immediately and get something else. And so there's stuff like that. I mean, but if that happens, the depreciation has already been taken by somebody, and now it's out there for sale at a substantially less amount of money than what it would have been when it was new.
My wife and I were just talking about this past weekend because, the weather started to get a little bit cool and there's some snow up on the mountains and things like that. And we have 3 little kids, and we were talking and said, man, we really screwed up. We should have got out camping more this summer. Because you feel like when the weather turns, if you're in a tent,
oh yeah,
and you got little ones, you're just like, oh man, we missed our opportunity for this season. When you have an RV, when you have a motorhome, you didn't miss your opportunity. You just get out into the beautiful fall foliage. The snow doesn't hurt you. None of that. You don't have to care about any of that because you're in a mobile home.
You can get a front row spot anywhere you want, because there's not that many people out. The kids are back in school, so you don't have a lot of spots taken.
Yeah.
You're right. The colors are changing. In the daytime, the temperature is great. Like you go down south, it's probably still even a little hot, right?
Sure, yeah.
But in a month, boy, from like St. George and the Four Corners and down into, southern Nevada and down into Arizona, what a beautiful time of the year to head down there. You don't even want to go, really, from like April to what, mid-September?
Mid-September, yeah.
Go, right?
It's too hot.
I RV year-round. I absolutely love it. I have spent already this year over 40 nights in an RV.
That's awesome.
So I live the lifestyle, but I do the bulk of my I spend more time in what most people consider the off-season. I mean, I look at it like from here on out and go, what a perfect time to go. And, we're so close just to, if it gets a little cold here, well, gosh, what, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours? We're in a whole different climate, And so you can head out on a Friday night, come back on a Sunday night, get some hiking in, go do some sightseeing, go see some of our national parks, our state parks. We are super lucky to have all that in our backyard. We take it for granted.
That's right.
Right? But, boy, you go to other states, it's nothing like what we have right here. In fact, I always joke when people come in and they go, where should we take these things? And I'm like,
drive for 30 minutes.
It's all in our backyard, And people, are always. I talk to people. They go, "Oh yeah, no RVs. I don't know. Which I love them. I want to take my family out, go explore. It's a sense of freedom. But some people, if they haven't lived the lifestyle, didn't grow up like that, they don't know. And their whole dream is to go on a cruise or something like that. By the way, if you have an RV, you can go every weekend, vacation every single weekend. But they're trying to figure out how to go to some other place or some other country. Meanwhile, everyone else is trying to figure out how to come here.
That's right.
So why not take the time to check out all the good stuff in our backyard?
And you got a great opportunity. The barrier to entry got lower this weekend because of this blowout sale put on by Paris RV at Provo Town Center Mall, just south of the Target. We're in the southwest corner of the mall parking lot. Give the ESPN 700 listeners, let's incentivize them. Let's get a little urgency. What can we do for our listeners today?
First person to come down that say they bought or come down and purchases an RV that says that they heard it on this channel, $1,000.
$1,000 off.
$1,000.
Already great deals.
Off
Already
the
great
price.
prices. $1,000 off.
Price. Yep.
If you mention ESPN 700 and the Sean O'Connell Show. Boom, baby. Daily Dump is next. It's Utah's number one sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Yep. You know, every break room has one, a potluck list. Judy. All right, I'm talking. Can you hear me? Hello? James, can you hear me? Okay, every break room has one, a potluck list. Judy's award-winning chili. Stan's got the rolls. Sherry's got funeral potatoes with those cornflakes on top. How do you compete? This year, seize the yay. Take a one-of-a-kind dessert cake from Baskin. Sean O'Connell Show. Daily Dump got moved today. We had Josh Newman at 12:30. So here we are at 1:30, brought to you by Valley Plumbing. Flushing out the best stories in the sports world. I alluded to this when we spoke with Josh Newman. Bill Belichick and the North Carolina experiment is coming to a terrible, disastrous end, it would appear. And it's probably going to happen before the season. Multiple sources reporting that Bill and his staff have been talking about other jobs elsewhere, that he has been discussing things with the administration relative to reducing his buyout or even voluntarily activating his $1 million buyout. It's been an absolute terrible marriage. And I use that term on purpose because I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that his personal relationship has been a major part of the storyline of North Carolina football this year, which of course was never the case when he was with the New England Patriots or in the NFL. It's just a very weird thing. I think that Bill Belichick, who is going to go down in history potentially, probably, as the greatest NFL coach of all time, the most successful NFL coach of all time, the gold standard of dynastic winning, at least in modern football, that guy, I think, is becoming just kind of a weird old angry grandpa. Like, he won't let the Patriots scouts in the building. Every headline for North Carolina football has been something related to mismanagement of communication or the weird relationship situation or just negativity. He's not winning football games. And now the school already put out a statement saying that, hey, well, yeah, we have some recruiting violations that we're concerned about. In what world does it make sense to confirm or even acknowledge that recruiting violations may have taken place under a head coach unless you're trying to give yourself a reason to separate yourself from that head coach? It's bananas what's happening at Chapel Hill in the football world, and the experiment is probably not going to make it even a whole season. Reminder, this is a man who's making $10 million a year as the North Carolina football coach. Not North Carolina basketball, North Carolina football. They're paying him top dollar to no results at all.
I mean, you hate to see it if you're a lifelong Patriots hater like myself. You just hate to see it. By the way, the drama with him shutting out the Patriots scouts and anybody involved with the Patriots, and until the external pressure mounted and internal pressure mounted to where there's too much where they couldn't handle it anymore. They weren't even showing Drake May highlights. Drake May's having an incredible year in his second year with the Pats because of this stupid policy he has, because he's mad at the team that he used to coach for. It's just it's ridiculous the way he's handled stuff at Chapel Hill this year, OC, and I'd say it's sad. Like, in general, it's sad to see a legend look this bad, but like, I don't know that it's that sad with Bill Belichick, and maybe that's just my anti-Patriots bias coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate the way that it's going to happen, but it does. The more, I think, relevant thing here is that North Carolina has showed they're willing to invest in their football program, and now that's a good job potentially for whoever can take it next.
Why not? Come on, why not Jeff Saturday? Why not give him a shot? I mean, the Colts. The Colts gave him. I mean, that he probably should not have gotten the interim job that he got, but he does have that somewhat coaching experience under his belt. He seems to be a guy who has an interest in coaching. That's his alma mater. I mean, that it would seem to me that you would want to give a guy like that a shot if you're truly going to move on from Bill this early.
What you need to do if you're North Carolina is you need to hire a college football coach.
Yeah.
You need
someone who's actually done it, yeah.
After this whole, like, hey, we're going to make this little mini NFL franchise thing just ended in flames and failure, what you do is you go out there and you hire a college football coach. By all means, go find a rising young one. Go find someone who knows a little bit about the NIL space, whatever. But this, like, I mean, it looks cool on paper what Colorado, was doing with Dion. Like, we're going to make it an NFL mini franchise. What Bill Belichick and company looked like they were trying to do at North Carolina. The results have not actually been there in any kind of meaningful way. So I think you go with the college football coach.
That's probably more prudent.
Before we get to a PGA Tour leaderboard update, because we need to fit that in, it's Arizona State week for the Utes. We've talked a lot on this show about Cam Scadaboo because he's one of my favorite players in the last 10 years in college football. Just, the way he plays the game, and obviously it's translating with the New York Giants as well. There's a piece on ESPN.com today that if you have time, it's just his parents telling stories about him, his coaches telling. It's a paragraph from each person. Jackson Dart weighs in, other teammates weigh in, and Cam Scatterbo is exactly what you think he is, according to all these stories. He's just a literal caveman who's thankfully found an outlet in football. I mean, hilarious. The stories are, you could tell everyone likes him because, he approaches football the right way. But there's stories in an ESPN article, James, about how he just can't shut up. He just yells randomly, outbursts of just like nonsensical words. One of the guys, I think it's a fellow running back on the team, a veteran running back on the team, says that he's actually a really dumb person. Like, they're talking about Cam Scatterbo like he's, never going to read this article, and he's just like, oh, no, he's dumb for real, but he plays football the right way, and everyone likes him, and he's energy in the locker room. It's hilarious. There's one anecdote that is all about how he just chews his sunflower seeds loudly, which would drive me insane. I can't stand loud chewers, and apparently imagine somebody comes to you from ESPN and just like, hey, man, I need a soundbite. Tell me the thing that really stands out for you about Cam Scatterbo. And the first thing you think of is just like, well, he's a psycho who chews his sunflower seeds too loud. Go read it. It's fantastic. Cam Scatterbo with the Giants. He wet-willied Jackson Dart on the airplane. Jackson Dart was doing the rookie showcase with Cam Scatterbo. Obviously, they put them next to each other on the airplane. They didn't really know each other. Jackson Dart says he fell asleep, and he woke up to Cam Scatterbo giving him a wet willy. He's like an elementary school bully. Oh my gosh, just fantastic.
It's a good thing he's good at football. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I think he's a kind of a low IQ guy,
Yeah.
but not a low football IQ guy. Anyway, very funny, worth your time. Give us a PGA Tour leaderboard update if you don't mind, James, because the Bay Current Classic is happening, and you can experience the future of performance with Callaway. New shaping, materials, and the AI 10X Smart Face delivering up to 8 yards longer distance with even more forgiveness at Uinta Golf.
Well, Max Gracerman is tied for the lead along with Bud Cauley at 4 under. Nick Højgaard is tied for 4th at 3 under. Sahith Theegala also tied for 4th at 3 under. Adam Scott, a couple of the more, those three, the biggest names probably in this tournament. And, yeah, that's your PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by Uinta Golf. Apparently, I thought the golf season ended after Ryder Cup. Apparently, they're still going, OC. So congrats to those guys near the top of the leaderboard.
I totally knew that golf continued after the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
How could you not know that?
By the way, we got to fit this in.
Yankees lose. Yankees. Dale. The Yankees lose. The Yankees lose. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Hey, let's do it again. The Yankees lose. The Yankees lose.
Because we don't have the video element on the show
don't take it
today,
personal.
there's no YouTube stream of my beautiful face. You can't see how much I'm enjoying that. To put it in context, Big Papi on the desk with Derek Jeter, with A-Rod, with two guys who wore the pinstripes. He coined that, right? He's the original one.
He did it. So 3-4 years ago, I think Jeter had not been on the Fox desk yet, but A-Rod was during the ALCS. That's the first clip I played. It's first time he said it on Fox, and A-Rod puts his head down like, what just happened? He's, of course, making fun of the longtime radio announcer who said, "The Yankees win! The Yankees win!" And he's making fun of that. So he did that a few years ago, and then the second clip that you're about to talk about, OC, is Vlad Guerrero Jr. last night with Big Papi.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. pulled out the callback while he's talking to A-Rod, Jeter, and Big Papi. Everyone was laughing about it. Absolutely fantastic. And if you're a baseball lover, if you're a playoff baseball lover, and more importantly, if you're a Yankees hater, you could not have enjoyed that more.
So fun, and it makes the wild card loss just a little less painful for me with my Red Sox, unfortunately falling to the Yankees in the wild card round. To see the Jays just absolutely obliterate them, and also, I mean, Spence Checketts came in after the first couple of games, and they'd scored 25 runs on the Yankees, and he's like, I don't know if you wanted the Blue Jays, man. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. They probably would have killed the Red Sox the same way. So it's fine. I'm just glad they eliminated the Yankees right after.
That's the Daily Dump, brought to you by our friends over at Valley Plumbing. Thursday edition of the Sean O'Connell Show coming at you from the Paris RV Blowout event. We're down here at the Provo Town Center Mall, southwest corner of the parking lot, right next to the Target. Great deals going on, 50% off. Look, they're lightly used vehicles. You just heard there's a lot of these things are manufacturer buyback. They came to Paris RV with the sticker still on them. They go through the multi-point inspection. They will not sell you something that has issues. These are technically used vehicles, some of which have barely been touched. Check out the selection, more than 100 units here on the lot, and if they don't have exactly what you're looking for, they will go find it for you. Also, we just heard in our last segment that anyone who mentions the Sean O'Connell Show, anyone who buys an RV and says, hey, I heard about this sale on ESPN 700, an extra $1,000 off the already drastically reduced pricing in this blowout event. No catch, nothing extra you have to do. You just say, hey, I heard about you on ESPN 700, so can I get that extra $1,000 off? We'll wrap things up next on the Sean O'Connell Show. We got some tickets to give away? Young blood? Is that what we're going to do? All right. I'll come up with a trivia question. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, proud part of Utah's ESPN Radio Network. 2 tickets to Youngblood coming to UCCU Event Center May 13th, 877-353-0700. 2 tickets if you can answer this question correctly. Utah Mammoth start their season tonight against Colorado. Last year, Clayton Keller was the goals leader and the points leader for this Utah Mammoth team. How many points did Clayton Keller have in the 2024-2025 season? Last year, the inaugural Utah Hockey Club season, Clayton Keller, your points leader, had how many points in the season? 877-353-0700. 2 tickets to Youngblood coming to the UCCU Event Center. We're wrapping things up here at the Paris RV Mega Event at Provo Town Center Mall. Shane's kind enough to sit down with me one last time. We got $1,000 off extra for ESPN 700 listeners if you mention when you're buying your RV, your trailer, that you heard about it right here on the show. Great selection. You guys have something for everyone down here.
That is correct. We got big fifth wheels, toy haulers, a little variety of everything. About 100 units here on the ground today. It's a beautiful day out here in Utah. Good time to come shop. I know come January, it's a lot of people shopping. We got all summer to move through the product. But going into winter, it's a great time to save a ton of money.
And, like, when we say a used RV, right, I mean, you're not going to jump in any of these things. You're not going to walk through any of these things and see worn out upholstery, a bunch of gouges everywhere, appliances in there not working. Everything is inspected. You go through it all, top to bottom, make sure everything's working, set to go.
Well, to a point, it's hard to make it new again, but we want to make sure all the major appliances so we can camp. Obviously, some of them have been used. So there's a couple scratches, nicks, dings, and that's why they are used. But we try to make sure the AC, fridge, furnace, all the electrical, all the plumbing, and all the propane work.
And at Paris RV, it's going to be down here, this mega event, today, tomorrow, Saturday, rain or shine. You start at 10 a.m., you go till dusk.
That is correct, you bet. We'll be excited to see if you get a chance to come down.
Come on down, and most importantly, when you're ready to pull the trigger, you're ready to get that fifth wheel, the motor home, the toy hauler, whatever it is, tell them you heard about the sale on ESPN 700, an extra $1,000 off. But you have to mention it. They're not going to automatically give it to you. So if you're looking to get out there into the wilderness, this beautiful, I mean, this time of year, Shane, you know better than I do. Look, it's the perfect time to get out there.
It's gorgeous. In southern Utah right now is the perfect time to go camp. And finally cooled off a little bit, so we've got such a variety around us to go. And
even if you want to stay up here more locally, you're going to be in one of these beautiful toy haulers. You're going to be in one of these beautiful, you got the pop-outs. I mean, you got heaters and AC if it gets too hot. It's not like roughing it out there.
Nope. It's
luxury
not the tent
camping.
Days. Yeah, not the tent days anymore. This is more glamping than anything.
Thanks for having us down here.
Hey, appreciate you guys as well.
Paris RV blowout sale at the Provo Town Center Mall. Come see them between now and Saturday night. They'll wrap things up right around sundown dusk on Saturday. And that's perfect timing, by the way, because you can sign the paperwork on your new RV, then you can jet up I-15 and get to that Utah versus Arizona State game, and then everybody's happy. The Drive with Spence Checketts is next. Stay tuned on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, proud part of Utah's ESPN Radio Network.